Also, should I start the live stream as well?
I'll suggest not to.
Okay. हाँ 6 पे ही
You
करती
should
हूँ.
start, yeah, you should start the live stream once everyone is in the meeting and once the speaker are there, so that once the officially the meeting, the conference is started, so you can live stream it to the YouTube as well.
Okay.
Also, now we are getting the OC members from other countries as well, so we should be speaking in English so that they could understand what we are speaking.
Okay, that makes sense.
Also, I'll request the OC members to please rename yourself with your proper name and your NMO as well. Like Abdullah Abbas, Amal 9, the L, SH, and the last word. I think that's in Kazakh language.
Where is Kumail?
Hello everyone. Am I audible to everyone? Okay. Sending Scott hugs to people here across the globe. I'm Hamna Suleiman, National Officer for Rights and Peace, MSA Pakistan. A very warm welcome to our esteemed guests, speakers, and participants from around the globe. SCORP MSA Pakistan, IFMSA Jordan, IFMSA Panama, Denim Brazil, Medsco Oman, and CAS MSA Kazakhstan proudly presents an open webinar conference, Harmony in Diversity, uniting diverse perspectives and expertise in the realm of healthcare. Join us as we embark on an enriching journey of knowledge, exchange, and collaboration, transcending borders and fostering meaningful dialogue. Together, let's explore innovative insights and solutions shaping the future of healthcare worldwide. Welcome to this dynamic platform of learning and discovery. Let's welcome our first esteemed speaker, Daniela Flores, North Ferriscombe. Over to you, Daniela.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Daniela. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And you?
I'm fine, Alhamdulillah. Over to you, Daniela. Let's start.
Okay. I want to start with a question. I'm going to have a translator that she can help me to translate all the speak. Okay. Please welcome to my friend Marcela. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi Dani.
Hi, okay.
Everyone.
We are going to start. I want to start with a question. Nuestra percepción sobre si algo es justo o es objetiva depende en sí de nuestra situación.
I want to start with a question. Is our perspective about something is fair depending on our perspective?
Okay. Mi nombre es Daniela Flores y es un gran honor poder compartir aquí unos minutos con ustedes.
My name is Daniela Flores and it's such a great honor to get to spend these next few minutes with you all.
Antes de iniciar, me gustaría darles las gracias por la oportunidad de permitirme estar aquí.
So first, I want to make sure I start by saying thank you for the opportunity of allowing me being here.
Contándoles un poco sobre la perspectiva de mi país.
So I could tell you about my country's perspective from a social justice insight.
Desde una mirada de la justicia social como mi experiencia de NOR en Venezuela.
As my experience of North Venezuela's.
Para que desde relatos crucen fronteras.
So we get to share these stories and we can cross borders.
Y vean las dificultades que ustedes como naciones
And you get to see we share a lot of difficulties.
son las mismas que presentamos nosotros acá.
That are the same that we present here.
Y que al final son puntos que nos unen para trabajar en equipo hacia un mejor futuro.
Which bring us together at the end to work as a team for a better future.
Por lo que es sumamente importante que tengamos en cuenta
So it's really important that we acknowledge
que todas las personas tenemos necesidades básicas comunes.
the fact that us humans have some human basic common needs.
Que se traducen en derechos humanos.
That translate into human rights.
Sin embargo, cuando estas necesidades fundamentales no se satisfacen,
However, when these fundamental needs are not satisfied,
nos encontramos frente a lo que denominamos inequidades.
We find ourselves in front of inequities.
Por lo que aprender de justicia social no es solo familiarizarse,
So learning about social justice is not just about familiarizing, oneself with some legal text and integrating abstract concepts of rights,
sino que vendría a ser más o menos una propuesta de Aristóteles
but more or less what Aristotle proposed
que es lo de justicia distributiva.
in his distributed justice.
Es decir, que lo correcto o justo es la repartición de los bienes dentro de una sociedad.
That is to say that the correct or just distribution of goods with a society.
Siendo sin lugar a dudas la justicia social un concepto complejo,
Undoubtedly, social justice is a complex concept
que abarca temas de igualdad social, igualdad de oportunidades, estado de bienestar,
that encompasses issues such as social equality, equal opportunities, the welfare state, level claims, feminism,
entre otros que tienen como norte común la construcción de una sociedad más equitativa.
among others, which have as a common north the construction of more equitable and less unequal society,
Donde todas las personas, independientemente de su origen, género, raza, religión u orientación sexual, tengan las mismas oportunidades y derechos.
where all people, regardless of their origin, gender, race, religion, sexual orientation, have the same opportunities and rights.
Ahora bien, para entender esto es imprescindible comprender que la justicia y la pobreza están estrechamente relacionadas.
However, to understand all of this, it is essential to understand that justice and poverty are closely related.
La pobreza es una de las principales causas de injusticia
Poverty is one of the main causes of injustice,
y a su vez la injusticia perpetúa la pobreza.
and in turn, injustice perpetuates poverty.
Es un círculo vicioso que afecta a millones de personas en todo el mundo.
It is a vicious cycle that affects millions of people around the world,
Pues tienen un acceso limitado a la educación, a la salud, a la vivienda, a la alimentación y al agua potable.
as they have limited access to education, health, housing, food, and clean water.
Esto a su vez les impide desarrollar su potencial
This, in turn, prevents them from realizing their full potential.
y anudado a ello, las personas en situación de pobreza son a menudo discriminadas por su origen, género, raza, religión o etnia.
And people living in poverty are often discriminated against because of their origin, gender, race, religion, or ethnicity.
Y aunque en el mundo hay cerca de 80 constituciones que consagran la expresión de justicia social,
Although about 80 constitutions around the world enshrine the expression social justice as one of the values of the state
o un principio fundamental del mismo.
or a founding principle of a state,
Los defensores de los derechos humanos señalan que la persistencia de grandes injusticias
human rights advocates point to the persistence of gross injustice,
una precariedad laboral generalizada, un alto grado de desigualdad y un desmoronamiento de los contratos sociales
widespread job insecurity, high levels of inequity, and the breakdown of social contracts
exacerban las crisis mundiales.
exacerbated by global crisis.
Estas duras realidades amenazan los avances logrados en materia social.
These harsh realities threaten the progress achieved in the social matters.
Por lo tanto, reforzar las instituciones y las políticas que realmente promuevan la justicia social debe ser una prioridad urgente.
Strengthening institutions and policies that truly promote social justice must therefore be an urgent priority.
Venezuela no se escapa de esta realidad,
Venezuela does not escape from this reality,
pues como país democrático declara en su Carta Magna
since as a democratic country, it declares in his Carta Magna or Constitution
de 1999
of 1999
ser un Estado democrático y social de derecho y de justicia,
to be a democratic and social state of law and justice,
sustentado en valores de educación, salud, equidad, igualdad de trabajo, decencia, acceso a protección social, respeto a la diversidad,
based on values such as education, health, equity, equality, decent work, access to social protection, respect for diversity,
y aplicación de los derechos humanos en todas las esferas de la vida social venezolana.
and the application of human rights in all spheres of social life.
Pero en un país como Venezuela,
But in a country like Venezuela,
donde existen fuertes contrastes entre los modos de vida de diferentes personas,
when there appear to be such a different contrast of the lifestyle of people living in Venezuela,
el cual es una realidad ampliamente conocida, pues existen problemas políticos y sociales,
which is a widely known reality that they are political and social problems,
es fácil detectar que no hay justicia social.
it is easy to detect that there is no social justice.
Pero las injusticias no son siempre tan evidentes,
But the injustices are not always so evident.
por lo que es necesario que cada vez haya un mayor consenso dentro de la comunidad educativa
So it is necessary that there is a growing consensus within the education community
sobre la necesidad de educar sobre la justicia social,
about the need to educate for social justice.
por lo que es necesario que nosotros como miembros de las sociedades
And is where within the society
podemos actuar como pilares que promuevan el estudio interdisciplinario en cuestiones básicas de derechos humanos.
we get to act as pillars that promotes interdisciplinary study on the basic issues relating to human rights.
En los estudiantes de medicina y por supuesto en la población en general.
In medical students and of course, general population.
En actividades y proyectos sociocomunitarios de extensión,
Conducting activities of social community outreach,
orientados a la reflexión, discusión y sensibilización
orientating to discussion and awareness
en torno a la existencia de inequidades de sus propias vidas y su entorno inmediato.
about the existence of inequities in their own lives and their immediate environment.
En su casa, escuela, comunidad, para llegar a un compromiso activo.
Home, school, or community to reach an active commitment
Para promover la justicia y la igualdad social en todos los niveles, personas, instituciones, naciones o a nivel mundial.
to promote justice and equity at all levels, personal, institutional, national, or global.
Siendo esto básicamente lo que busqué en mi gestión como NORP 2023,
This is basically what I saw in my management as 2023 NORB,
de promover prácticas sociocomunitarias que fueran actividades como
to promote social community practice such as the activity of
como una arepa por una sonrisa, que consistía en llevar una arepa, una comida típica venezolana,
an arepa for a smile, which consisted of taking an arepa, which is a typical Venezuelan food,
a las personas en zonas vulnerables,
to people in vulnerable areas,
intercambiándoles un desayuno o un almuerzo por una sonrisa de ellos.
exchanging a breakfast or a lunch for a smile from them.
También estuvo la actividad Ellos también tienen derecho,
There was also the activity of They Also Have Rights,
que consistía en llevar alimentos a los animales en situación de calle.
which was to bring food to animals in street situation.
Actividades que permitieron que los estudiantes salieran más allá
Activities that allow students to go beyond
de sus aulas de clases o espacios hospitalarios
their classroom or hospital spaces
e involucrarse en la planificación y ejecución
and get involved in the planning and execution
de un día que les permitiera llegar a zonas vulnerables
of a day that allowed them to enter vulnerable areas
y ver más allá de las materias básicas, anatomía, bioquímica, cirugía o pediatría.
and see beyond the basic subjects, anatomy, biochemistry, surgery, pediatrics,
Dándoles la oportunidad de trabajar en una parte humana fundamental de su carrera
giving them the opportunity to work on a more human-sided, which is fundamental to their career,
y fomentar el desarrollo de sociedades más equitativas.
and raise awareness and encourage the development of more equitable societies.
Es decir, es una enseñanza basada en el respeto y cumplimiento de la justicia social
As if to say, it is a teaching based on respect and fulfillment of social justice,
que permita que se adquieran actitudes basadas en la empatía y el respeto entre iguales.
that allows them to acquire attitudes based on empathy and respect among equals,
Y que puede incluso extenderse a la comunidad en general.
which can be extended of the opportunity at large.
En fin, como decía Nelson Mandela, ganador del Premio Nobel de la Paz de 1993,
In short, as Nelson Mandela, winner of the 1993 Nobel Peace Prize, said,
cuando dejamos que nuestra propia luz brille,
when we let our own light shine,
inconscientemente damos permiso a otras personas de hacer lo mismo.
we unconsciously give permission to others to do the same,
Siendo nosotros pequeñas luces con grandes corazones que den a conocer la importancia de los derechos humanos.
being ourselves as small lights with big hearts that make know the importance of human rights.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela, for sharing your thoughtful insights with us. And now it's my pleasure to welcome our next speaker. It's Hamad Salim, lawyer from Pakistan.
Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Hamad.
All right. So a lot of thoughtful things said by my previous speaker. I would not so much dwell on defining social justice or the idea of social justice, but would like to provide an insight with respect to inequity in health, education, and other respects in Pakistan in particular, and other developing countries, if we may call it that way. Firstly, with respect to health, obviously, you demand equality with respect to health. There are different segments within each society, and where there is no equality, there is inevitably inequity. And in Pakistan too, although constitutionally all individuals are afforded protection against inequality and hence inequity uh, through Article 25A of the Constitution of Islamic Republic of Pakistan. However, the problem with respect to Pakistan particularly and other developing countries as well is the fact that there is no developed jurisprudence with respect to medical incompetence, medical negligence. So there seems to be a lack of education with respect to not just the idea of medical negligence, but the regulation of medical negligence as well. So medical practitioners are not made aware or are not educated to that standard with respect to legally what is rightful as medical conduct, what should be done in a particular situation by a medical practitioner, and what falling short of that will be defined as medical negligence. And most importantly, that's been defined uh, constitutionally as well as through judgments by different courts around the world. And there is a stream of jurisprudence that's called tort law. So we hear a lot about the idea of a duty of care that is owed by medical practitioners, by lawyers, by all individuals, mostly who are giving a service to a particular individual. And in Pakistan and other countries like Pakistan, this concept is not dwelled upon a lot because a duty of care is a very important concept. And from this duty derives a responsibility upon all practitioners to treat their patients or individuals they're providing services to with care. But in this respect too, there we face some sort of problematic questions, right? Because can we compare Pakistan or other developing countries with more developed countries like those, let's say United Kingdom or United States? These are countries where doctors performed with the highest level of equipments. There are no power shortages. So the conduct of Pakistani doctors, whether it should be judged in accordance with their circumstances here, where they operate with the lacking of resources, with the lacking of equipment, there are power outages, there is a lacking of doctors as well. So last I checked, there are, you can count the number of thoracic surgeons and neurosurgeons that you find in southern Punjab or interior Sindh. And these are like big chunks of the country. So in this respect, in these areas, what do doctors do when they're faced with a situation where a patient's in pain? Do they step out of their area of surgery to conduct a surgery, which would amount to medical negligence when you look at it from an international scope of lens? But personally, I believe there should be a lot of adaptability with respect to what should and should not be negligence with respect to particular countries. And this is where there is a lot to be done, not just by doctors, by medical practitioners, but by lawyers, by judges, by parliaments. Uh, we still do not have answer as to what conclusively would amount to misconduct when it comes to health, when it comes to, providing someone with some form of medication, administrating a surgery. And that leaves no room for people who are victims of malpractice. These people who have suffered due to maybe an incompetent doctor's surgery. What do? The courts do not have answers as to what compensation to provide them with. And I believe there are not just inadequacy on part of state functionaries, but generally the policies that have been framed in these countries are largely addressed towards other issues. You have economy, you have poverty, but there needs to be a changing realization that health and provision of high quality healthcare is on par with poverty and economy, because a healthy pool of citizens will make an economy, right? So my idea with respect to Pakistan and other developing countries is identifying a need of developing laws, policies which directly cater towards not educating medical practitioners about misconduct, malpractice, negligence, and also trying to communicate with victims as well as people seeking medical help as to what amounts to medical malpractice or what amounts to medical negligence. And that sort of translates to education as well. What is education in today's day and world? Is it just limited to classrooms, to schools, to universities? I personally believe education and a right to education encapsulates a right to access to internet, because much of what we learn today, we learn from the internet. If a student in a countryside or in a country where there is a lack of resources not provided with internet, he would not be able to compete on par with international standards because there is a lacking on his part with respect to the resources that are available, right? So, but in countries like Pakistan, we see involvement of state functionaries. You have the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, the PTA, who's blocking websites, blocking social media networks every single day. There's a lot of political involvement in this. And in this respect, there is a lot of judicial inaction. So in large parts, there is a contribution not just from the executive, but the judiciary as well, the parliament as well, that needs to be made in order to stop this, in order to try to shift from trying to, censor voices towards providing access to people to get access and learn more about different opinions and different ideas. And that sort of can only come about by educating people, making them more tolerant about the society. And with respect to this, the idea of education, it also translates into a lack of education with respect to things that are considered taboo in different societies. For instance, in Pakistan, female health, female sanitation is looked down upon still in this day and age. Women in southern Punjab and interior Sindh face severe medical challenges due to the fact that they are not educated about female hygiene. And I think this requires some form of a collective effort to fulfill the gap that exists, to provide these people with education and then with resources to meet these medical challenges. So much of the social inequity that exists in developing world is because we've never identified the problem and worked towards a solution collectively, not just as state functionaries, but as society. And my idea of social justice in such countries is policy focused to begin with, policy-based legislation, policy-based debates, policy-based seminars, policy-based educational drives to make people aware of what it actually means to have equal social justice, equal medical health care, and other forms of social resources that must be provided to all. So I think with that, I would take your leave. Thank you all.
Thank you, Hamad, for your thoughtful insights. Now we will welcome our next speaker. It's Karim from Egypt.
Hello everyone. It's Muhammad Karim, or Karim, not Karim.
Okay.
I am from IFMC Egypt. I'm IFMC Egypt NCD's national coordinator. So before addressing the Egyptian issues, I want just to share with you the vibes that I am living right now. I am in Aswan, the land of antiquities, and I think that this is not my first outdoor session, but I think it must be my first session conducted in a temple. It's Fiala Temple in Aswan. So we'll just start addressing the issues in Egypt. I don't want to share them as a separate issues or from the aspect of human rights only. I want to share them in the concept of social determinants of health, which are social determinants that can affect and get affected directly and indirectly by the health of certain people in a certain country. So our first pillar in Egypt, in the issues in Egypt, is healthcare. Healthcare in Egypt is facing some challenges as an inadequate infrastructure, shortage of healthcare workers, and unequal access to healthcare services in urban and rural areas. The second pillar is the education in Egypt. There are many issues as the overcrowded classrooms, lack of resources, and disparities in quality, also between rural and urban areas. The third pillar, third determinant, which I consider the most important one, and as I just said that I was the NCD's national coordinator, which are the non-communicable diseases coordinator in IFMC Egypt. So I will reflect this pillar or this determinant on the NCDs. This pillar is the income inequality or insufficiency of the income for the people living in Egypt. The NCDs or the non-communicable diseases, I can say that there is no family or there is no house in Egypt without at least one diabetic patient. There is no house or there is no family in Egypt without at least one hypertensive patient. So let's take this from a different aspect, or not just the disease aspect and the treatment aspect, and what are the signs and symptoms of diabetes and hypertension and others. No, we will just take it from another wider approach, or a wider holistic approach. The diabetic patient or any non-communicable or chronic patient will have to make a certain quantity of his income every month for the medications of his or her disease. For example, diabetes, you will need to make a specific quantity of money from your income monthly for your medications month by month. Okay, how many months you should do this? We will do this month 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's lifelong or lifetime medications or lifetime treatment. So you will need to cut a portion of your income month by month for your health condition. This is just a reflection of NCDs and how income insufficiency can affect the health of the people as a social determinant of health, especially in Egypt. I took the example for NCDs in Egypt because the NCDs incidence in Egypt is very high. As I already mentioned, there is no family or there is no house in Egypt, at least a diabetic or hypertensive patient. The second reflection also on NCDs, let's take for example cancer patients. Cancer patient will have to take chemotherapy sessions, and those sessions obviously take a longer time, and those are not available on all healthcare providing services and in every town or in every governorate in Egypt. They will need to travel. They will need to take days off from their work, and this will affect their income, and this will affect their quality of living, and this will affect and this as a social determinant of health will affect their health and quality of living as well. I think I am done with issues in Egypt. I talked about education, talked about healthcare, talked about income by reflecting it into non-communicable diseases. I hope you got benefits from what I say, and if anyone needs any inquiry or wants to ask any question, I will be more than happy.
Thank you, Mohammed, for with us. And now we'll invite our next speaker. It's an honor for us to have President from Lebanon with us, Amal Naim. Are you with us right now?
Hello.
Hello.
This is Amal Naim. Hello, everyone. This is Amal Naim, Lamsik Anamo President. I'm honored to be here. So basically, today I'll be reflecting on our experience as Lamsik and contributing and reducing the gap in access to medical care in our country during the storm of challenges we encountered as country since 2020. So Lebanon faces healthcare challenges stemming from political instability, economic crisis, COVID-19 aftermath. These difficulties affect healthcare access, obviously, especially for marginalized communities, and contribute to outcome disparities. So, however, despite obstacles, Lebanon has implemented successful initiatives focusing on primary healthcare, universal coverage, pharmaceutical governance, and quality reforms, showcasing resilience. The country's health system paradox actually lies in coverage of advanced treatments, but underfunded preventive and primary healthcare services. So, exacerbated by economic crisis, vaccine shortage, and difficulties in acquiring branded branded drugs and high demand from non-communicable diseases. I mean, for example, again, diabetes and hypertension. They constitute a large, demand a lot of the budget of the Ministry of Public Health budget compared to the resources provided. So basically, donor funds safeguard access to critical medications and vaccines, but routine vaccination coverage drops by 30% after the pandemic, so since 2020. Additionally, the immigration of administrative staff exacerbates the shortage of professionals needed for healthcare and public health training. So basically, as medical student association, we see ourselves as contributor in a diverse perspective to combat disparities, mainly through community awareness efforts, while cultural factors play a pivotal role in healthcare delivery, emphasizing the need for culturally sensitive initiative. So during COVID-19, Lebanon's COVID response offers valuable insights for global discussions on preparedness with active engagement from medical students and various activities. The interdisciplinary collaboration enhanced policy implementation involving major stakeholders and civil society organizations. So basically, for example, as LAMSIC, we were actively engaged on multiple fronts. We volunteered in national call centers and vaccination centers. We facilitated the establishment of local call centers in rural areas, so to increase the access for people in rural areas, and we provided the training for trainers from other NGOs to prepare volunteers to serve this in those call centers we opened. So this is emphasizing the role of contribution of collaborating for effective community response. We played a crucial role in conveying the pandemic situation to rural authorities during meetings with municipalities. This was supporting the Ministry of Public Health effort. Additionally, we collaborated with the Red Cross, preparing materials and infographics to raise awareness on how to act as individual and as organizations as well. And we partnered with WHO and the Ministry of Public Health to conduct sessions on health crisis management, and the target was our members. So basically, these steps prepared us to provide a very fast response when we had the unfortunate incident in the Beirut explosion in August 2020. So during that time, we were able to directly collaborate with one of the organizations, and we focused on fundraising, volunteering, and at first aid tents to assist people impacted by the tragedy. So all of this, I'm mentioning all of this to emphasize on the role of community engagement by prioritizing civic participation, health education, and empowerment as crucial tools to enrich any emergency plan. Additionally, after these experiences, we built a trust with our Ministry of Public Health. So, for example, currently with the situation that's hitting Lebanon nowadays in the south of Lebanon, we were consulted actually, and we were involved in the consultation and the preparation of the strategy to overcome the situation in case it was aggravated, the aggression was increased. So basically, we helped them in the strategy and building the strategy, and we, as part of our hand-in-hand campaign, we contributed by developing materials, which we shared as collaborators on their social media platforms. And our organization unique strength lies in our ability to reach communities, tailoring content with youthful and clean designs to reach the public, in addition to our medical students. So this not only enhances community awareness, but also serves as a powerful tool for fundraising. So this is what we use to support internally displaced families Our collaboration with the ministry exemplifies actually the impactful role medical student can play in shaping and executing emergency response plans in a very accessible way for everyone. So basically, again, in the face of the difficulties in South Lebanon, LAMSIC persists in its commitment to health promotion despite all challenges. So currently, we adopted our universal health coverage project, and we are actively launching free medical campaigns. And this term, the initiative adopts a more specific approach to enhance results and extends its impact to a wider range of beneficiaries. So this is briefly the challenges we encountered throughout these 4 years and how we acted as an NGO in Lebanon. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Amal, for gracing us with your presence. Our next speaker is from Libya, Muhammad Al-Zaidi. Are you there? Muhammad, are you there? Abira, can you check if he is in the meeting or not?
I don't think he's in the meeting. We can move on to the next one and we can check back with him when he's there.
Okay, sure. Okay, our next is north of Romania, Vlada Topis. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone. My name is Vlad. I am the north of Romania, and it's an honor to be part of this wonderful initiative, and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. So because we don't have that much time on our hands and there are still many speakers who have to come after me, we're gonna move straight to it, like cut to the chase and get into the brunt of it. First of all, just to make sure we're all on the same page, I would like to talk a little bit more about social justice and to reiterate some of the points that the previous speakers already made. So social justice, what is social justice? It is basically an ideology, a view that all people deserve equal rights and, very importantly, equal access to resources and opportunities. I would like to focus on this latter part, as I believe, human rights have been, at least in theory, accepted by most countries and most places in the world. I say in theory because even though human rights are granted and they are enshrined in the constitutions, the fundamental laws of most countries around the world, the situation, the practical situation and the reality on the ground is quite different, as we still deal with lots of abuses and gross human rights violations across the world. But the second part, that talking about equal access to opportunities and to resources, I believe hasn't been yet widely accepted by society and by societies across the world. And that has to do in part with what I would call some of the enemies of social justice, which are individualism, which is rampant in our capitalistic societies, with greed, populism, and all sorts of discrimination, whether we talk about racism, xenophobia, Islamophobia, homophobia, any form of discrimination. I would like to present a little bit more about the situation in my country. That's why I'm here, to talk to you a little bit about social justice issues in Romania. And the point of that would be not only for you to gain an increased knowledge of the social justice situation in our corner of the world, but to also, by the end of my speech and by the end of this event, to draw some conclusions and some general knowledge that is applicable to situations where human rights are violated and where social justice is not respected across the world. Social justice issues in Romania are vast and are complex. We unfortunately still deal with lots of injustice and discrimination. I would like to talk about the specific case of social justice issues as it pertains to minorities. Romania is quite a diverse country. We are at the meeting of East and West, you could say, at the meeting of Europe and the Middle East in a sense. And so culturally and historically, we are quite diverse. There is a very diverse ethnic makeup in Romania as well. Unfortunately, that doesn't translate to a very happy rainbow-colored situation where everyone lives in peace and in harmony. There have been conflicts in Romania, especially in the 90s, that had an ethnic basis. Racism is still quite a big issue in Romania, and other forms of discrimination as well. I would like to talk about 3 different communities, let's say 3 different marginalized communities. Ethnic minorities would be one of them, then sexual minorities, the LGBTQ community, and then people with disabilities in Romania. And I will start with the latter, with people with disabilities. The problem of accessibility accessibility basically doesn't exist in Romania when it comes to people with disabilities. Most of the buildings and public institutions were not and are still not designed with the specific needs that people with physical disabilities have. So for people who have physical disabilities, it is very hard to have independence in their day-to-day life when it comes to interacting with institutions like hospitals, universities, government institutions. So you basically, as a government, by not ensuring the accessibility, you strip them of their independence. And you also don't give them the chance, or you make it terribly hard for them to be properly included in political processes and stuff like that. Also, if we talk about mental disabilities, and I'm going to include neurodivergences here as well. So autism spectrum disorders, for example, even though they're not fully disabilities, they're neurodivergences, but I'm going to talk about them here as well. There is lots of backlash and discrimination in Romania, not properly educated. And out of that lack of knowledge, you get a sort of discrimination and lack of acceptance of people struggling with such issues. I will move on to our second example, which is sexual minorities in Romania, the LGBTQ community, a subject which is quite heated recently in Romania and has been for the last 5 years at least, because there has been talk about the right of same-sex people to marry in our country, which is not yet granted by the state. And actually, a few years back in 2017 or 2018, if I'm not wrong, there was a referendum to change the constitution, but not to change it in order to allow people to get into same-sex relationships, to have marriages. It was for the exact opposite, because in our constitution, it says that it's a very broad marriage, which doesn't ban, theoretically, same-sex marriage. So a group of people got together and pushed this referendum to basically change the definition of the marriage in the constitution to the union between specifically a man and a woman. Thankfully, that referendum failed, it didn't pass. But this year, after a decision of the European Parliament and a statement which said that Romania has to accept and to grant to the people of the LGBTQ community and to legalize same-sex marriage, there were multiple declarations and statements by our government officials. And one declaration of the Prime Minister said that Romania is not prepared, is not the Romanian society is not prepared for such a change. In response to that, there has been an online campaign where people would go online, film themselves, post on Instagram or on TikTok, or write a message saying how they are prepared actually for this change in Romanian society. But unfortunately, from what I'm hearing, there's talk of another referendum that would change the definition of the marriage again to the union between a man and a woman. Hopefully we won't get that far, but we cannot know yet. And then I would like to talk about an issue that is very dear to me, an issue that I've worked a lot on, and SCORP has worked a lot on in the past year and is currently working as well, the discrimination of ethnic minority in Romania. Because, as I've said, we have a pretty diverse ethnic makeup in our country. We have Hungarian nationals, we have Germans, we have Jews, Russians, Armenians, and we have Roma people. And many of those face discrimination, especially the Roma community in Romania faces lots of backlash, racism, and discrimination. And because we noticed this problem, starting last year, we began to implement campaigns and webinars and activities to discrimination, to change people's mentalities. Though it is very difficult. To me, the most difficult task you can have is to change mentalities. Yeah, it's basically very, very hard to unteach this learned behavior that is racism. And in my talks with people across the years, I've noticed this tendency of saying that there is no systemic racism in Romania. Most people can agree that there is some discrimination because you see people being hateful online and making all these kinds of racist comments, but they would say there is no systemic racism in Romania because, in theory, Roma people do have all the rights that other Romanian citizens have and enjoy. But the problem is not with the theoretical part of it, but with how you apply the law, with the reality on the ground. And I would like to give just a couple of examples regarding this. Maybe, you know, it is not legal to discriminate based on race when it comes to employing people in Romania. But as I've said, racism is a big issue, and there are many, many people in Romania that are bigoted and racist against the Roma people. And these people are not just, I don't know, randoms. They are employers. They are maybe government officials. They are people in positions of power, some of them. And so if you have an employer who wants to get a bunch of employees and he gets CVs and has interviews with a bunch of Roma people, it's not like he's going to say, oh, we're not going to take you on. We're not going to employ you because you are Roma. He's not going to say that because, you know, it's illegal and he would get in trouble. But that is the thought process behind it. You don't have to say it out loud for it to be true. And when you have that kind of racism and that kind of negative public perception that is pervasive in Romanian society, you definitely, the last point of my speech, I would like to talk in order to fight cases where social justice is not respected and upheld. And I think one very important thing is to understand the difference between equity and equality, because as you know, equality is basically, to put it in very simple terms, giving everyone the same thing, while equity is taking the needs of the people and of the communities into account as well. So you wouldn't give everyone the same thing. You might give more to a marginalized community that has been impoverished because of racism and discrimination, because they need more because of the corner that they have been put into. Then again, very important, I think, is to understand the concept of privilege, to gain awareness and to accept our own privilege, which can be a very difficult process for many people. But for example, just to put it into perspective, let's say that we're talking about people that are maybe just as smart as me or maybe smarter and that would make better doctors than me didn't ever get the chance and the opportunity to even apply and to take the exam to become medical students, because maybe they come from an impoverished family. Maybe they come from a family where the parents didn't go to school, and so they didn't see it fit or proper to send their kid to school, and so they didn't get a proper education. Maybe they did get an education, but they didn't have any money to have extra mentoring hours. And all of that plays into, you know, their ability to get access to a medical school. And it's not anything to do with how good or how capable they are. It has everything to do with the circumstances that they have been born into and that they have no control over. Another thing we have to do is to empower these vulnerable communities to not be paternalistic. You know, you have to give the people from these vulnerable, marginalized communities a voice to speak up for themselves. And while doing that and empowering these communities, you would also have to work with the majority, let's say, and to fight discrimination and negative public perception regarding marginalized communities. And just to wrap it up, because I know we're on a short schedule here, very important in fighting all these issues is education and the education system. I feel like something that we don't do enough in my education system in Romania and in multiple parts of the world is we impart knowledge, but we don't teach skills. We don't teach life skills. And that is a very important aspect, especially in today's environment and in today's world, where you have so much misinformation and manipulation and radicalization online. It's very important to teach pupils from a young age media literacy and how to, you know, properly perceive and process the world around them. And I believe the education system should be a place where diversity, acceptance, and empathy is taught and fostered. And basically that would be everything I had to say.
Thank you, Lalit. It's an honor to have you with us. Now, our next speaker is President from Panama, Jose Acevedo, and it's an honor to have President Panama with us. Are you there?
Hello, you guys. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure for me to be here and speak about all the healthcare situation that we have here in Panama. First of all, I'm really glad to share this space with many other people from other NMOs. I was listening to Vlad and totally agree with everything that he said. And I think that I have some things that I want to mention that happen here in Panama. And actually, I think I speak for the Americas in general, or for Central America, because we wouldn't ever like speak our point of view in how everything is happening in our countries. And I would like to address that. On the first point, where when we're talking about, I will speak first about the inequities that we have here in Panama, and also all the things that I think are wrong, and not only that I think, but that all the people in the country think that are not okay. I'm sorry if my voice is a little bit deep. It's because yesterday we have a National General Assembly, and it was so heavy on me, and now it's paying me back. Well, here in Panama, there are many things that we should change and that happen in the Americas region. The first one that I think is that the government doesn't put the right amount of importance to health that it should be. Currently, we are in a situation in which we all the medical sector here in Panama are fighting because the government is always cutting up all the budget from different hospitals in the country, mainly from the National Kids Hospital and also for the National Cancer Institute. So it leads to a point in which all the physicians that work in the public space aren't able to perform in the right way or do not have all the tools that they need to work the way they have to. And we have physicians, we have hospitals here in which we cannot like do procedures in the right way, or we have to use instruments that are not meant for something just to do another function because we do not have them. Panama has a characteristic. We have a really, really high PIB. And here in Panama, it's a nation in the Americas that has a really great economic classification internationally because of the Panama Canal and all, and the big bank sector that we have. But it doesn't translate in the situation of diversity. We're actually one of the most corrupt countries in how the state funds are managed. And we recently were fighting against the government in a mining situation and something that was really bad for the country and environmentally wasn't okay. And in that case, we won. But there are many things that in which all the funds that the government has are not used the way that they have to. I don't think, I think there is racism here in Panama. And when you ask that to all the people, they will say, here in Panama, there's no racism. But it is a directed racism towards the indigenous community. I don't think we all see that, but here the indigenous community experience many racism, and when we see them at the hospitals, it is kind of difficult because there are many doctors that do not care and just say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna use Spanish in this, la India esa," or something like that, and it's not something that's okay. There are many movements or many activities that we are trying to do, but there is an internalized racism that we are fighting, but that people do not accept they have, and it's something that we have to work on. Um, Actually, there's something else I want to add to this, and it's that here in Panama and the medical system, there are there's a lack of education in the healthcare part, like in the, for example, I was last year NORA of IFMSA Panama, and we in schools do not teach sexual and reproductive health and rights, and if they do, it is really poorly educated. It's like so basic. It do not involve like all the sexuality spectrum and all that is related to sexual orientation and gender identity. It doesn't include how to have a healthy relation with another person. It doesn't include like all the tools that you need to be prepared and also to prevent getting a disease. That's something that we don't have recently. Like 1 year, 2 years ago, there was approved the first law to teach sexual education in the schools, but it hasn't started to be present in the public system yet. So it's something that we have to work on. Um, I don't know how much time do I have, because there are things that I would like to mention, but I don't know if I have time. I still have time. Could you please tell me? Yes? Do I have time?
Yes, go on. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't looking at it. Well, as well, there are other situations and inequities. As I said at the beginning, we are a country in which all the government money is not distributed the right way, and they prioritize to using in things that are not necessarily important for the population. And we have the necessity to be uh, to constantly be uh, working with what we have. In the medical education, we have to say that they do not like invest in the give me they do not invest in the public system education. They're here in Panama. We have two public universities that teach medicine, and they are constantly fighting for budget because there are many students that want to study medicine, but they just can't pay it on a private system. So you have to go to the public system to study. But you find with the big wall of there is not enough spots for all the people that want to study medicine in the public system. More than 1,000 students annually get frustrated because they cannot study medicine, but they cannot pay it in a private university, which leads to scholar desertion and also many issues related to mental health. Um, Actually, as NMO president, yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I just wanted to share my perspective as NMO president. Like, I have noticed many things that were not like I wasn't seeing when I was not now as NMO president. When I was having one-on-one meetings with all my national teams, I realized that every university have different perspectives and different issues that we have to solve. And that's only speaking about medical students. So if we speak about all the situation that's currently going in our country, we will never end. So thank you for giving me this space, and I hope that I I just gave you a little sneak peek of what the healthcare system in Panama is.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for us to have you. And now we will invite our next speaker, Abdail Morcillo, Nor Panama.
Thank you. Good morning, or for us it's morning, so good morning, everyone. After Jose, I will be very brief because he gave an excellent explanation of what we are doing here or what is the situation here. I would like to focus on what we are doing as IPMSA in all the standing committees, not only Corp. So I will speak on behalf of all my belief solution of most of the inequality problems or the lack of or the inequity problems in our health system, in our education system is education. Education in the communities, education for the people in the schools, education for our medical professionals, not only medical students, also the other professions on the healthcare field, and education in the for the people in general, in people who do anything, other disciplines, other professions, they need to be educated on that. We are all human beings, of course, and we all have rights and dignity, and we deserve to be treated as that. And some examples that in all our standing committees, the activities that we develop or that we execute or that we promote are directed towards education. Education. I can give a very brief example. Going to a certain community or a certain school where in a community that has a lot of indigenous population, that has a lot of indigenous people. So we need that in those places, people understand that the ethnical differences do not make us different in dignity and in human rights. So we go and we try to educate them. Another example is with the current situation we have in the border with Colombia, and all Central America has this crisis currently. So we have a big irregular migration population here. So we must help them integrate and continue their travels or their trip to the United States, which is where they usually go, and also educate our people and our healthcare professionals to take care of them, because many times they go to a hospital, a migrant goes to a hospital or does not go to a hospital because they think they will not receive healthcare, that they not deserve it. So we educate us as medical students to be aware of this and to try to give them the healthcare they deserve as human beings, as people, regardless their current situation, their situation in migration or anything else. So we try to go to all the different vulnerable populations. For example, in SCORA, it's the work towards the women, which is unfortunately a vulnerable population in many aspects. They do work a lot. There is an activity actually this month, because the International Women's Day. It's called Valórala, Value Her, which is integrated in all the standing committees. So every year it keeps improving to try to attack all the difficulties that you go through. As I mentioned before, activities with the migrants, activities with the indigenous people, and also activities with any other vulnerable group, people with disabilities. So yes, closing up the intervention of Panama, it's the key is education. It will not happen tomorrow. It is a long-term process, but it's what we can do and the most effective and sustainable way, we believe. So thank you very much for inviting us.
Can
Thank
I
you,
add
Abdul.
something really quick?
Yes, sure.
Like really quick, like, because I didn't speak about all the migrant situation, and that's something that Abdul said. That is currently a public health alert here in Panama. Because this is the moment in which we just have had seen all the xenophobia that people have, not only discrimination. We know that migrating is not easy for the people that are doing that. And here in Panama, it's a thing that has gotten to a place in which the people that see migrants in the streets just discriminate them or say, why did you leave your country, or you are not welcome here. It's not all the people. We all try to help them, and there's actually a law in which we have to provide all the migrants healthcare, because here in Panama, if you are in the land, you are deserving of having healthcare. I mean, you do not have to be like a national man of the country. No, you do not have to do that. If you are a foreign person and you are in Panama, you deserve to have healthcare. Yeah.
Thank you, Jose and Abdul from Panama. And now we'll invite our next speaker, Yusuf Bashir from Medicine Sudan. Yusuf, are you there? Yusuf, are you there?
He's not in the call. I think we should move on to the next one.
Okay. Our next is North MSA-Kai, Chile Uzail Moreno. Are you there?
Hi, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello, can you see me too?
Yes.
Thank you. Well, sorry. Hi everyone, thanks for this opportunity. My name is Uciel. I'm the NORP of IFMSA Chile. I have a lovely Lord who is gonna be joining me to this speak, and I wanna share with you a little bit of a presentation. Can I share, right? I think I
yes,
can.
you can.
Thank you.
Wait, Abira, check me.
Yes, I think I can share.
Okay.
Yes. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you. Well, like I said, my name is Susil Morena. I'm the owner of IFMSA Chile. Agustin is going to be joining me with some of the topics. We wanted to talk about not just about the social justice, but also a little bit of the healthcare system and a little bit of some topics that are related to discrimination in the healthcare system, like Panama was talking about. So these are the topics that we're going to be talking: justice, social determinants, that are going to be explained by Agustin, and the other main health problems and public health initiatives that we're addressing in SCORP Chile. I'm going to be explaining them. Okay, so now, Agustin, you can start.
Okay, hi, I'm Agustin. First, to understand how justice works in our country, we have to know how healthcare is divided. We have a mixed health system where we have the public and the private health care. The first one is directed by the government, and the second one is paid directly by their users or expensive health insurances. The justice that we seek relies on the equity of access to medical attention. So you have the vast majority of the population in the public system, and the government has made efforts to strengthen the infrastructure and improve care, but demand often exceeds their capacity, causing long wait times for medical care. On the other hand, the private sector offers high quality health services, but it is usually associated with high costs, being in this way inaccessible for a large part of the population, generating a gap in equity. The second one is that Chile is a country very centralized in its capital, which monopolizes a large amount of its population, medical care, and services, which generates a problem with medical care for rural places. And lastly, the government, in order to help improve medical services for the rest of the people, created the justice system, generating warranties and benefits for medical services that will be explained by Yusil later. Can you put the next one? Okay, so the social determinants that we have in Chile is the education. We have some disparities in access and quality of education, and this impacts health due to the access that they may have in the future with the quality medical services. Also, we have the income and the social class. We have sometimes an unequal distribution of income and social stratification, which are determining factors in facing both educational and employment barriers to access quality health. Also, we have the work and working conditions. We sometimes, because we have like a lot of people from another countries, we sometimes have instability. We have low instability and job security, which can be determining factors for access to the quality health services. We also have some problems with the housing and physical environment because of the same topic as I said before, of the people from other countries coming to ours. We have sometimes lack of access to adequate and safe housing, and usually exposure to environment pollutants, and that contribute to health problems, especially for marginalized communities. Then we have the access to health service. Although there has been some progress in health coverage in Chile, the problem of improving the public system and access to quality medical care in rural areas and low-income people persists. Then we have what I talked before about culture and ethnicity. We have a great cultural and ethnicity diversity, where certain particular groups have greater difficulties in accessing quality education, health, and housing. And lastly, a great thing about our country is that we have great social support networks. Chile has advanced in different campaigns and support networks for both physical and mental health that have greatly impacted its citizens in recent years.
Okay. Thank you, Agustin. Now I'm going to be addressing about the main health problems that we think that are very important and has related to discrimination in medical attention and obviously injustice. Lack of healthcare professional is one of the main problems because, like something that Jose was talking about, we have difficulties to get to the healthcare careers. So in the institutions, we don't have many doctors or nurses to take care of the number of patients that we have. So a way that the system has doing to try to solve this lack of healthcare professionals is that they have made a shorter time to medical attention. So if you normally have, I don't know, 30 minutes or 45 minutes to do a diagnose and give them treat the patient and explain everything to the patient and their families, in Chile, you have 6 or 10 minutes to do all of that. So obviously, it has become to deteriorate the medical attention, and also sometimes it translates in a very not nice treatment, because sometimes the healthcare professionals are in a very stressful environment, so they don't treat the best way they can treat the patient. Access to healthcare services, like Agustin was talking about, in Chile we have a lot of rural places that doesn't have access to healthcare institutions or professionals. So the patients that are mostly older population can get to the needs or can get to the medical attention they need. Migration and healthcare system, again, like Agustin was talking about, in Chile, in the past years, we have been visit and have more increase of the migration population. So obviously, it has been an increase of the number of patients that we are supposed to treat, but we still have the lack of healthcare professionals. And also, there has been a public health problem that these patients have different diseases than the Chilean population have. So sometimes it's very difficult to diagnose them or even give them the medicine they need, because sometimes the medicine for that disease even doesn't exist in our country. And another thing is that these patients also sometimes doesn't even speak Spanish. So it's a little bit obviously difficult to treat them for that. And then we have the public health initiatives. Yes, what Agustin was talking about, it's a law that demands that every patient has to have a priority in wait list, in medical attention, and they can have their medicine for free in the public health institutions if they have any of the 87 pathologies that the government has described as important for the public health system. The other one is forms of medical attention. This is one of the public health initiatives that we have been addressing in SCORP, is that for these people that live in rural places and don't have the opportunity to get the medical attention they need, we as students go to these rural places and give them the medical attention they need, obviously with medical doctors and volunteers, so they can have everything they need. So sometimes it's obviously good for patients that have disabilities or are very older people, like I was talking about, and they don't have the opportunity to go transport to an institution. And then we have the health plans and programs. These are documents that are available online, and also in SCORP Chile, we have been promoted in our social media because they are a really good tool, especially for medical students. These are plans and programs that are provided by the government and have technical orientation and recommendation about how to treat and diagnose some type of pathologies that are very common in the public health system. For example, hypertension they in the plans and program you have like which medicine is better for hypertension, for example, in younger patients versus in older patients, or which exam is better. So like I said, it's a really good tool for us students to start familiarize what we are supposed to do with some type of patients. So thank you for listening. This is a very lovely photo of us and green hearts for you all. And if you have any interest in learning more about Chile and the information we were talking about, this is it. And of course, don't hesitate to reach us. And I hope this information helps you to make conscious and to reflect about the problems that we have, and maybe even realize that we have problems that are very similar.
Thank you, Zaida and Augustine for Chile, for sharing your insights with us. Now, our next speaker is Ahmed Zaid, LARP from Minya. Ahmed, are you there?
Okay,
Welcome, Ahmed.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, can you share the presentation?
Hi, is this the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, guys. I hope you are doing well. Firstly, I'd like to say that it's a pleasure to be here as one of the speakers for this amazing conference. Let me introduce myself. I'm Ahmed Said, but please call me Said all the time. I'm fourth year medical student. I'm from IFMC Egypt, and I'm Triple Asmania Law, and I'm an HRMP, Human Rights for Medical Participants International Facilitators. And now I'm gonna talk about healthcare, education, and social determinants in Egypt based on International Justice Day. Okay, International Justice Day provides an opportunity. No, let's.
Hi,
You hear me?
do I move on the next slide, or is this the one?
Okay, this. You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, International Justice Day provides an opportunity to shed light on the aspect of healthcare, education, and social justice and enhance efforts to improve them. Achieving social justice in this sector is crucial for sustainable development and comprehensive well-being of society. Next. Okay. Healthcare. Healthcare in Egypt is considered one of the areas that require improvement to achieve social justice. In recent areas, Egypt has witnessed some improvement in healthcare sector. Healthcare infrastructure has been developed and the healthcare network has been expanded across the country. The Ministry of Health will implement CHIS. It's an abbreviation of Comprehensive Health Insurance System, equal UHC, which is Universal Health Coverage, and that will be for regular workers, individuals with limited income, and also all people. Next. Okay. Healthcare challenges. However, Egypt has significant challenges in this field. I want to mention three of them. One of the key social determinants is poverty and social inequality. Many individuals suffer from low income and difficulties in accessing basic healthcare services. Second, lack of health awareness and quality of healthcare services. And third is the financial challenges, and this is the biggest one. Next. Education. In terms of education, there are still challenges facing the education sector in Egypt, like unequal access to education, quality of education, financial challenges again. Unequal access disparities in access to education versus urban and rural areas among different social classes. Low quality of education. Then financial challenges. This is also the biggest one, and I think the Minister of Finance activates airplane mode. Next. Okay, for social determinants, I want to say them in brief because time is limited. First, poverty and economic inequality. Second, unemployment and the labor market. Third, discrimination and inequality. Fourth, migration and displacement. Next. To ensure progress in healthcare, education, and achieve social justice in Egypt and also all over the world, comprehensive approach is needed involving collaboration between the government, private sector, NGOs, which is non-governmental organizations, and civil society. Transparency, accountability, and the provision of resources are essential for achieving change in these important sectors. In conclusion, International Justice Day reminds us of importance of achieving social justice in healthcare and education in Egypt, also all over the world. This requires providing equal opportunities and high-quality services for everyone and working towards reducing social and economic inequalities. Next. Okay, that's all. If you have any question, please keep them to yourself. I'm not Google. Just kidding. Please let me know if you have any question. Next. Guys, please pray for Palestine and Gaza. Don't forget them. Always talk about what is happening there and boycott products that support the genocide, that supports the Zionists. Because guys, they don't have any aspects of life, and what is happening as a genocide. Unfortunately, the world we live in is completely unfair to them. May Allah help them. And thank you. Free Palestine.
Thank you, Free Palestine. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. And now our next speaker is Maria Soda, not
Thank you.
IFMSA Serbia. Thank you, Ahmed.
Hello.
Not from, hello.
Hi, so I'm Maria, and I'm a sixth-year medical student, and I'm the NORP for IFMSA Serbia. And today I wanted to talk to you about some of the problems that a Serbian patient might face when they try and use the healthcare system. So Serbia has the Bismarck model of the healthcare system, and this is a form of socialized healthcare where funding for the healthcare comes from contributions from workers' salaries. So they get taken off their salary and put into a healthcare insurance fund that everybody can use. So everybody pays, but only people who need healthcare use it. And typically the coverage in a Bismarck model is around 60 to 80%, but in Serbia it's actually 97. So theoretically, we have a very high percentage of coverage. However, if the only people who pay for, if only the people who pay for healthcare are employed, that means immediately that there's a group of people who are excluded. So that is unemployed people or unregistered workers, which is not uncommon at all. And these unregistered workers additionally face issues if they have an injury at the workplace, which then because they're not registered workers, they also can't sue for benefits. They can't sue their employer for benefits. So that is basically how the healthcare system is set up, and most of the equipment and buildings are government owned. However, we do also have a very developed private healthcare system, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So I want to ask you, how much money do you think on average a Serbian person spends on healthcare per year? You can answer in the chat if you want. Does anybody want to try and take a guess? 50K in euros. So actually, per year, an average Serbian person spends around 600 euro for healthcare, which is very low. Admittedly, that is very low. Yeah, so out of that, about a third comes out of pocket, whereas 2/3 are covered by the government. So essentially, out of pocket, an average Serbian person is going to pay around 200 euro per year for any additional healthcare that they might need. So that's pretty good. However, what are some of the issues that this healthcare system faces? So despite the theoretically very high coverage of 97%, in practice, one of the biggest issues is actually a lack of access to the healthcare system. So in one way, that is because of the geographic position of people. So there are far more doctors in big cities, and there's actually a huge lack of doctors on the periphery, in the countryside, and in smaller places. And these smaller places are also more frequently inhabited by older people who need more healthcare. So geographic position is one of the biggest basically injustices as far as access to the healthcare system is concerned. But also, even if you are in a big city, there just simply aren't enough doctors, which is something that I've heard from a lot of people today. There simply aren't enough doctors. And that means that there are huge waiting lines, and doctors have very little time to devote to their patients. So a typical exam is going to take about 10 to 15 minutes, which is not a lot of time. So the waiting lines are very, very long. For instance, if you need a hip replacement surgery, back in 2023, about a year ago, the last person who was on the list for hip replacement surgery was scheduled for surgery in 2033. So that was 10 years from then, which is obviously a huge time to wait. You know that basically if you break your hip, that is a very big, essentially medical emergency, and carries a lot of morbidity for older people. And so to have to wait 10 years to get surgery to prevent that is really bad. And essentially that is something that happens in these socialized healthcare systems. The waiting lines are just insanely long. However, if you wanted to get your surgery sooner, you could turn to the private sector. So you can, as I said, we have a very developed private sector. So you could go into a private hospital and get the surgery privately, but that's going to set you back around 6,000 euro. Just not taking into account, that's just the cost of the surgery. So that's not taking into account the time that you're going to spend at the hospital or the hospital prep. So, I mean, the surgery prep. So it's, let's say, just around 6,000 euro. However, the average salary of a senior person in Serbia, it's not a salary, it's a pension. The average pension, although officially it's around 400 euro, realistically, around a third of people have a pension under 150 euro a month. So that means it would take you around 20 years of pensions to pay off that hip replacement surgery. So that's very inaccessible to a lot of people. Also, so yes, that is as far as private healthcare goes. And that is actually a huge problem. And one of the things that we are trying to solve, essentially, our healthcare ministry is attempting to figure out a way to allow doctors to essentially to ban doctors from practicing privately, but allow them to take in more patients and more hours in the state hospitals. However, I honestly don't see how this is going to work. I feel like there simply isn't enough space. And also, doctor salaries in Serbia are already incredibly low. I believe that they're the lowest in the region. So it would really be unfair to essentially take away doctors' capability to earn a normal salary that they could have anywhere else in the country, and would aggravate the problem of doctors migrating to other countries seeking better conditions. So even if you do actually manage to get to your doctor and you actually get the therapy that you need, essentially, basically, let's take an average older patient, so over 65, which is around 22% of the Serbian population is over 65. So it is definitely an aging population. And we all know that older patients need more care. So essentially, if you're an older patient and you do manage to get to your doctor and you do get an appointment and you do get some medications prescribed, what also happens is there is a therapeutic list A, which is what we call, essentially, it is just basically medications that are covered entirely by healthcare insurance, and patients only pay a small participation of about 50 cents in order to get those medications. However, therapeutic list A doesn't cover a lot of medications. It's basically like the basic form of medications. If your doctor prescribes you something that is more effective or more readily available, that might fall under therapeutic list A1. That's not so important, but basically on therapeutic list A1, healthcare insurance pays for 25 to 75% of the cost of the medication. So, and these medications, for instance, statins, are on the A1 list, but the better, newer statins, and statins are very expensive, which we know. So to have to pay 25 to 75% of a statin, which is in Serbia around 50 euro, that's quite a bit of money. And also, of course, older patients are heavily medicated. They have a lot of medications because they have a lot of comorbidities. And so as a result, they have to take out huge chunks of their pensions, which aren't that big, in order to just pay for their medication. So they can pay up to 200 euro for medication per month. And we said that a third of them have pensions that are under 150 euro. And even if you are around 50 euro with the cost of your medications, which is the average, if your pension is 150 euro, that's a third of it. That's way too much. So what happens is these patients sometimes skip their medications. They don't take the medications they've been prescribed, or they don't take them as often, which is obviously a huge issue for these patients. Essentially, this is basically what I wanted to talk to you about. So these are things that we have to think about. Serbia doesn't face issues such as, per se, power outages or these crises, but these are, I think, issues that probably exist in a lot of these healthcare systems that are sort of in between. There's developing, basically. So that is all I wanted to talk to you about today, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Maria, and for sharing your views with us. Now I welcome our next speaker, Geeta Aloy, and he's North Morocco. North from Morocco. Geeta, are you
hello.
there? Hello.
Yeah, can you see me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, super. So, hello everyone, I am Rita Alawi Norb of IFMSA Morocco, and it is with great honor that I address you today to discuss the intricate tapestry of challenges and opportunities that in addressing healthcare, education, and social determinants in Morocco. So to lay the foundation of our discussion, let us first define the concept of social determinants of health as outlined by the WHO. So these are the non-medical factors that significantly influence health outcomes encompassing various aspects such as income, education, employment, living condition, and access to healthcare services. In Morocco, like many nations globally, these determinants play a major role in shaping health disparities and inequities. And research has shown that the social determinant can be more important than healthcare or lifestyle choices in influencing health. So today we are going to address those social determinants in Morocco. So Morocco is a North African country with a population of over 36 million people, and it has faced unique healthcare challenges and opportunities. The country has made significant strides in healthcare with efforts dating back to the establishment of the modern healthcare system in the 19th. And since then, Morocco prioritized healthcare as a fundamental right, leading to the development of a comprehensive national health policy. Morocco boasts a mix of public and private healthcare facilities, including hospitals, clinics, and health centers distributed across urban and rural areas. So the healthcare infrastructure continues to undergo expansion and modernization. It is financed through a combination of public funding, private insurance, and out-of-pocket payment. And that makes us question whether or not everyone has access to health in Morocco. So the government has implemented various social health insurance schemes to enhance access to healthcare services for vulnerable population, but studies have shown that more than 8 million Morocco do not have access to medical care. Still, Morocco is ranked 112 out of 1,952 countries regarding the quality of care, 7 in Africa and 10 in other countries. Despite progress, Morocco faced several challenges in the healthcare system, including disparities in access to care between urban and rural areas, limited resources, and workforce shortages. Other challenges include non-communicable diseases, maternal and child health issues, and the burden of infectious diseases such as tuberculosis, HIV, and AIDS. So by building on past achievement and embracing innovation, Morocco is poised to achieve its vision of a healthier and more equitable society. And talking about equitable society is bring us to another question. Why does that inequity still exist in Morocco? So despite all the progress already made, the gap between classes is still wide. And that's because not everyone has access to the same opportunities, and the social determinant in Morocco play a major role in defining and identifying whether someone can or cannot access these opportunities. So education being one of those. Transitioning to the educational landscape, Morocco confronts significant hustles in ensuring access to quality education, with over 300,000 students leaving school annually, primarily due to factors like poverty, school failure, and gender-related cultural norms. The right to education faces increasing scrutiny. So disparities between private and public educational institutions further exacerbate social divides, underscoring the pressing needs for comprehensive reforms and resource allocating to bridge this gap. Access to education in Morocco remains a critical concern, reflecting a complex interplay of social, economical, cultural, and infrastructural factors. While significant strides have been made in expanding educational opportunities, challenges persist, particularly in rural and marginalized communities. These challenges underscore the pressing need for target intervention, including equitable resource training teachers and community engagement initiatives to ensure that every child in Morocco has access to quality education regardless of their background or circumstances. Because it is through that education that we can acknowledge our rights, and one of them being our right to access health. Like Alice Walker once said, that the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they do not have any. And here by power, I mean the ability to know what they do deserve, and that's being access to their fundamental rights. And by the dissecting factors influencing health and educational outcomes, ranging from socio-economic disparity to cultural norm and environmental condition, Morocco can chart a course toward equitable development through proactive community engagement. And as NOP of Morocco, my primary mission is to fight inequalities by fostering awareness among every citizen regarding their fundamental rights. And I am dedicated to ensuring that young students recognize the importance of education so that they can rise and they can in turn make a difference and contribute to facilitating access to healthcare for all. So through advocacy, education, and community engagement, IFMC Morocco strives to empower individuals to claim their right and to contribute to a more just and equitable society by addressing systemic issues and promoting dialogue. We aim to create lasting changes and build a future where everyone can live with dignity and equality. So, in closing, the path toward enhancing healthcare, education, and social equity in Morocco is rife with challenges and opportunities. By heading the lesson of the past, synthesizing key insight, and mobilizing collective action, Morocco can emerge as a beacon of progress and prosperity for the region and beyond, because it has the potential as it has shown those past years. And thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you, Geeta, for sharing your views with us. Now I will invite Ahmed, President Kurdistan. It's an honor for us to have you. Are you there?
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, just 1 second. Let me step my phone down. Hello everyone. I hope you're all doing great. It's such a truly an honor to be here alongside you all, and I've loved all the discussions and everything that has been going on. It's been really, really great. I'm here to kind of share the stance of Kurdistan in regards to the topic, but also even go beyond that and even go and focus on certain SCORP international like focus areas and certain things that SCORP talks about that is not even related to health. So I would just like to begin to mention about a little bit about Kurdistan as a whole. So Kurdistan is an autonomous region inside of Iraq. It has a rich history, and there's a lot of complexities in regards to our area, our borders. There's just since that land has existed since the entirety of the history of the world, and we have actually one of the oldest continuously inhabited places inside of the whole earth, which is the city of Erbil and its citadel. There is a lot of challenges related to infrastructure, related to the structure of hospitals and patients, and even governmental and political issues that basically have certain effects among the healthcare field and among just so many different aspects of the country. So, as much as there are challenges, as much as there are certain things that constantly need approval, there's also a lot of development that has been happening, especially within the past few years. We noticed that due to all of the conflicts and all of the economic struggles, due to the dependence on the oil industry and recent impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, we're continuously in a process of recovery and reconstruction and building ourselves back up again to become stronger and to just try to recover from all of the things that are ongoing in our region. In the realm of healthcare, I believe like one of the major challenges is that patients are not well informed about their access to primary care. The primary health system is really like set aside and really neglected, which is really sad because people immediately go to specialist hospitals, immediately flood emergency rooms, immediately go and to the big hospitals that exist within the cities and completely ignore the presence of GPs, completely ignore their family physicians. The family physician system here really needs development, even inside of the medical education. I feel like our medical schools and I feel like this is prevalent all around the world, but I feel like medical schools, generally speaking, do not really encourage us medical students to partake and have specialties that are generalists. We are not really encouraged to be GPs, general practitioners. We're not really encouraged to be family medicine specialists or even other like specialists. We're mostly like encouraged to go on take surgical routes. We're mostly encouraged to go and take subspecialties within a specific field, which is something really sad. And I don't know like what we can do to change that. There are certain initiatives that we can have in regards to that, but it's going to be a very difficult process and a long journey of advocacy. So again, in regards to how I talked about access to healthcare, I think it's also important to cover how our medical training, like I really want to make this all about medical education. Like I'm a very SCOME person. I want to like take on the medical education aspect of this as well. So our medical training involves a rural service that is mandatory. We're mandated to go to rural communities, to go to the towns and villages outside of the main city centers, and go and serve these healthcare facilities in those places. And sometimes among the medical community, among the physicians and doctors and nurses and medical assistants and everyone, it's kind of frowned upon because people want to stay where they are. People want to work where their homes are. People do not like to commute for several hours a day. People do not really want to go and serve a community that's kind of different from them because I feel like the life in the cities is very different, and that does reflect in the healthcare field. Like, it truly does reflect in the healthcare field and in the presence of certain facilities, because it's maybe harder to work in certain rural communities because the healthcare facilities there are not that well developed. For example, there are certain times that when there is like certain emergencies, all patients have to be referred and transferred to the cities for certain procedures and certain medical care. And I feel like this is like one of the challenges in regards to working as a medical professional in rural communities, is that you need to really make use of the limited resources that exist there, or not even limited resources in regards to equipment and in regards to, let's say, developed facilities, but even limited human resources. It really is like a big thing that really needs to be worked on. So again, in regards to this, I would like to talk about how there is a big importance in regards to the cross-cultural understanding in healthcare. Because I live in a city which is Erbil, also known as Hawler. It's the capital of the Kurdistan region of Iraq. And my city is so diverse. Like, I want to say that there is at least one person from every country of the world who lives here. Like, truly, it's so diverse. We have so many people, so many different religions, so many different representations, and so many different backgrounds, all in the same city. And there is a lot of understanding. There's a lot of like beautiful coexistence taking place here, and we do notice that in the healthcare system as well. Like, it's something really beautiful, but there are sometimes certain biases among towards certain communities, especially the refugee, because in the Kurdistan region we also have had a lot of incoming refugees, specifically from Syria and even certain other towns and cities Iraq, that was due to conflicts and due to instability and due to certain war across years. So I think, statistically speaking, we've had like 200,000 refugees just in 3 major Kurdish cities of the Kurdistan region of Iraq. And, that really also does inflict on, that's also really seen on the healthcare field as well. And sadly speaking, there is no insurance system in place for anyone. The healthcare system is not having an is not like, no one is insured. There are certain private insurance companies, and there are certain jobs within like the private sectors, within the NGO sectors, that do provide insurance for, like, let's say, their employees and the family members of their employees, but this is very limited. And I personally have tried to look into it, and I haven't really found something that big about it. Even in regards to social justice, like, the main topic in regards to this is that we really see a lot of disparity among the differences between public and private hospitals. So the private hospital system is something that's really developed and really emphasized on here in the Kurdistan region. And it really shows how there is a disparity among the community's access to healthcare. Sometimes some things exist in a better quality and so much cheaper than private hospitals, but some people will always prefer private hospitals due to, they think it's more specific, or more like up to date, or more like has some sort of other benefits. But there are other people who truly cannot afford the private system, because the private system is very expensive and has a lot of taxes. Private clinics, private hospitals, any private healthcare facility has a lot of taxes and by the government. And another aspect about how there are certain injustices carried out in healthcare is the how can I say the development of the pharmaceutical company's presence inside of clinics. I think it's something that's incredibly unethical for clinicians to be partnering with pharmaceutical companies and for that field to continuously grow more and more. It is something that's really, really sad to see because we see patients be prescribed more expensive drugs. We see patients be prescribed unnecessary medication, unnecessary symptomatic treatments, unnecessary supplementations, and unnecessary investigations, and even like certain like labs and certain pharmaceutical companies who have ties with big hospitals that really cause a lot of disparity within the access to healthcare. And that is something that really needs to be worked on, and it needs to start with us somehow. Because I personally see that the majority of the people who are medical representatives, who are basically working on promoting a certain pharmaceutical company to clinicians and to doctors and to private hospitals, are the students. The students are the ones who are literally like disseminating that unethical field and promoting that unethical field. And I personally have always loved how FMSA has been kind of against certain certain things that in regards to the pharmaceutical companies. We're not allowed to have sponsorships with pharmaceutical companies for IFMSA events. And I think those certain limitations really help us to have certain ethical practices and certain ethical procedures set in place. And I think it's a really important topic for all animals to consider. Because I don't know, that entire field to me personally is not something we need to give into, because we need to be all about social justice and equity and equal access to healthcare, and for healthcare to serve the needs of the populations, not just be about commission, not just be about profit. And I just like there's in Kurdistan region, the complex political situations basically are a product of the long running system of recovery. Like we try to recover, we try to implement, build up our systems, build up our resources, something happens. We are in a region that's not very hasn't been very stable historically and hasn't had the best time in development. Like every development that happens is faced with an equal challenge and an equal big conflict that we have to get through and we need to recover from. And this also is like prevalent inside our medical education as well. So I think, social accountability, which is like one of the main medical education topics and one of the biggest IFMSA focus areas, is that we need to ensure that our medical schools are socially accountable. We need to know that our medical schools must not only focus on the clinical skills, must not only focus on the skills that we need in order to become physicians, but also emphasize on the cultural competence and also emphasize on how we need to be responsible for the society as medical students, and how the medical school itself needs to serve the needs of the society and hold that responsibility and accountability by itself as an institution. Because at the end of the day, I talked about how we have rural services. We're going to be serving rural communities. We're going to be working in cities. So many people travel internationally abroad. We need to be fully culturally competent to know how to give the best care in the most efficient and effective way. That all of this together will play a significant role in improving the overall health and the well-being of all the populations that we serve. And if I talk a little bit about the Kurdish stance in regards to certain like challenges and how we need to like navigate the development of healthcare, and just the showcase the human rights violations that has been happening. I want to say how the Kurdistan region is an autonomous region in Iraq. I mentioned this, but it's also very complex since it's one of the few autonomous regions in the world. And I think it's the one and only autonomous region in the Middle East. And IFMSA Kurdistan is the only associate national member organization in the Eastern Mediterranean region of IFMSA. So it's good to say that I personally represent the Kurdistan region of Iraq. But it's like there is a lot that Kurds specifically, represent a large population in the world. And there are about 40 million Kurds worldwide in so many different countries, but the four main countries are Turkey, Iran, and Syria. And sadly, each one of these countries have their own complex and complicated like systems set in place. And so in regards to the human rights violations that have historically taken place, they are a vast amount. And that's why, like, as IFMSA Kurdistan, we had an international human rights violations campaign with so many NMOs, such as MSA India, SMCO Colombia, SWIMSA Switzerland, MSA Pakistan, ZIMSA Zimbabwe, and so many, like some other NMOs as well, that we focused on the usage of, let's say, white phosphorus usage in certain communities and how it has implications on the healthcare system and how it has a lot of health consequences, along with other human rights violations that are nothing short of, let's say, genocide and ethnic cleansing and persecution of minorities, especially throughout history, historically speaking. And my last point in regards to our SCORP here in IFMC Kurdistan is that we do a lot of charity projects for a lot of communities and provide health access to them. And especially for the refugees, every year we have several huge activities take place to provide basic necessities for refugees, provide health checkups for them, collaborating with certain healthcare facilities, and ensuring that they get the proper health access that they deserve, because they are truly like not given the best access to healthcare. And even though a lot of NGOs work with them and help them out, but we as IFMC Kurdistan have been doing projects for refugees for more than even like 11 years in regards to this aspect, and it's one of our main focuses areas within SCORP. And I'd love to go on and on and on about so many different aspects, but I think I mentioned like the most important aspects. It's really good to mention like the things that need to be worked on, but also appreciate the things that have developed, the things that are also good. And thank you guys so much. I appreciate this opportunity and wish you all the best. And thank you all for this amazing initiative.
Thank you so much, Ahmed, for your thoughtful insights. Thank you so much. Next, our speaker is Khalid Al Ghilani, lawyer from Oman. Khalid, are you there?
Hi, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, so I think I have a presentation on if I could just share my screen, or do you have the PowerPoint already?
You can share your screen if that's more convenient.
All right, yeah, we'll do it. Just 1 second. Just kind of facing an issue here. One second, sorry. Can you see anything? Hello?
No, not really. I think I have your slides. I'll just present them.
All right, just, okay.
Are these the ones?
Yes, these are the ones.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so First of all, my name is Khalid Al-Ilani. I'm just here to talk about the healthcare laws and regulations about in Oman. And yeah, so can we go to the first slide? So first of all, I want to cover the history of medical law and the developments and changes that happened throughout history in Oman. So as you can see, there are many royal decrees and ministerial decisions that have been around since 1992 to 2024. As you can see, the first royal decree is approving the organizational structure of the Ministry of Health. You can imagine that from 1992 to 2024, the increase and the focus on the Ministry of Health was huge. As you can see that around 1992, there was almost like few hospitals and healthcare institutions, and when comparing it with now, it's around 1,601 healthcare institutions. So in this, as I can call it, a webinar, I'll just introduce some of the laws and regulations, specifically speaking on the practice of medicine and allied health professions. Can we go to the next slide? All right. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the access to healthcare and medicine. As we all know, according to the World Health Organization, the right to health is an inclusive right that ranges from the right to access to safe drinking water and adequate sanitization to the prevention of, or to the provision of health-related education and information. The right to health, according to WHO, is not only a programmatic goal to be attained in the long run, and a country cannot be exempted from the right to from this right due to some financial difficulties, for example. And from this, the Sultanate have focused on the constant improvement of the health sector, even in the basic laws of the state that when His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq became the Sultan of Oman, in Article 15 of the Basic Law, he stated that the state will guarantee healthcare for citizens, works to provide means of prevention and treatment of diseases and epidemics, and encourages the establishment of private hospitals and treatments under the supervision of the state and in the manner specified by law. And we can see the focus and interest in the health sector, as recently in 2023, Oman had officially joined the Arab Charter on Human Rights, which guarantees, of course, the right to receive treatment and to have free access to healthcare by way of Royal Decree 16/2023. Moving on to the free access to medicine, Article 6 of the Executive Regulations, we can see it here, yep, states that the Directorate may periodically collect random samples of the drugs locally circulated for their analysis, and ascertainment of their continued compliance with the approved regulations and technical specifications. So Oman has a very, very strict conditions, as stated in Article 62, 17 conditions to be exact, that states that they state the condition that must be satisfied for a medicine to be registered in Oman, and they keep they follow up on these samples very strictly to ensure that the medicine provided to the patient is very well monitored and is, well, I cannot say it doesn't have side effects, but the side effects could be less, for example. Can you go to the next slide? All right, now we'll talk about the duties and rights of practitioners in the field of medicine. So when we talk about the duties in accordance with the Royal Decree of the new law, basically, prior to becoming a medical practitioner, an authorization must be issued to you from the ministry. This authorization is subject to two things. The first one is to be registered with the ministry. The second thing is that you have to be listed with the an annual subscription to the medical negligence compensation fund. If you are working in a government institution, and if you're working in a private institution, you'll have to have a insurance. And after you've done this, you'll be registered with the registrar at the directorate that is related to the ministry. And after that, you could practice the profession of medicine or paramedical practice. And then I also want to talk about the duties that are related to practitioners. Of course, we have the law on patient confidentiality of the same law as the article states. As we all know, this is a basic and straightforward duty that you cannot disclose the health condition of the patient. But in this article, the law specifically states around 6 or 7 cases and scenarios where the practitioner may have the ability to talk about the confidentiality, the health condition of the patient. I will not go specifically on what these scenarios are because of the time that's available to us, unfortunately. But so I'll go on to the new addition that has been introduced in this law, which is the law on abortion. As we know that abortion is frowned upon and prohibited in Sharia law and in Omani law as well. However, the new law introduced 2 situations, 2 scenarios where abortion might be available and to happen basically in Oman. However, even in these 2 scenarios, even there are certain conditions that must be satisfied. The first one is if the continuation of pregnancy constitutes a massive risk to the life of the mother. Even with this, a record shall be prepared by specified physicians, specifically a committee of 3 people, and 2 of whom shall be specialized in gynecology and obstetrics. Sorry, you might know the medical professions, medical words more than me, and a pediatric, sorry. Yeah, and the second is the approval shall be obtained from the mother, and in case the approval shall not, may not be happen, like you cannot take it from the mother, her guardian that's available, as well as the husband, and this approval must be in writing. This is the first scenario. And the second is established that if the child inside the mother has been disfigured dangerously and incurably on the basis of a report from a medical committee, which is the same committee. I'll not try to say the names again because I'm sure I'll not be able to say it. So basically, even if this report comes and it is shown that the child has been dangerously disfigured dangerously or incurably, the abortion shall be before the completion of 120 days, which is 4 months from the beginning of pregnancy, as well as that the abortion shall be on the basis of a written application from the 2 surgeons, the spouses, sorry, after they have been informed about the results. And lastly, the right to medical insurances against risk resulting from or caused by his practice of the profession. Sorry. So this is a new, this as well is a new addition to the law. Normally, employment law covers insurances against risk resulting from work, the employment law and the social protection law. However, the medical law here in Oman states that medical practitioners also have the right for insurance against risk resulting from the practice and caused by the practice of the practitioner, which is a new addition to the law. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, healthcare and dispute resolution. So, as we know, in any profession, medical negligence and professional violations happen, and unfortunate circumstances and scenarios happen. This is also governed by the law and regulated in Articles 43, 46, and 52 of the same medical law. And So in Article 43, the law states actually the cases where the medical practitioner is not liable for the negligence. It states that if the medical practitioner satisfies 5 conditions while treating the patient, he is not liable towards the negligence or towards the unfortunate event that happens. However, if it turns out that he might have not been did not uphold his duty to the utmost, Article 46 says that a Supreme Medical Committee shall be constituted, and this committee shall be decided by a decision from the minister, and the minimum rank of the members of this committee shall be a consultant. This committee would then file or draft a report which states if would look in the violation that happened and would file a report based on it, and would issue a warning or would issue some fine, or would also revoke his practice or his authorization to practice the profession. Yeah, so basically these are the this is what I wanted to talk about in the medical negligence and professional violations. Medical practitioners, as well as what I stated above, they're also entitled to legal representation without the need of a special power of attorney. This is a new addition also to the law, which is not available to other professions, and which basically means that if there's an unfortunate event that happened, and because of the medical practitioner and the patient have gone to court trying to claim his rights, the medical practitioner does not need to go and get a power of attorney to hire a lawyer. The medical institution is required to offer, not required, they may offer a lawyer or a legal representative to go on to courts on behalf of the medical practitioner. So this is all that I have for today. And can you go to the next slide? Yeah. In case you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me on my email or through my LinkedIn. I'll be very happy to answer any questions that you have. And I'm very happy that you invited me to speak here. And I hope that you got any information about the law in Oman. I know talking about the law might be a little bit boring to you guys maybe, but this is the law in Oman, and the improvement and focus and interest that we are having, especially in the health sector, is very, very, very promising. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Khalid, for sharing your views with us. It was an honor to have you. Next, we have Matthew Ataula. He is president of Jordan. Matthew, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone. Excuse me, I'm not going to be able to open my webcam. I'm not going to take long on you. I'm just going to say something briefly, and then I'm going to leave you with my NORP. Okay. Dear IFMSA family, on behalf of IFMSA Joe, and as the NMO President of Jordan, and with heartfelt gratitude, I extend warm appreciation to MSA-Pakistan for their invaluable efforts in fostering thoughtful and purposeful collaboration. Amidst these times of challenge, it's crucial for us to delve into the heart of the matter concerning our region and the hardships endured by our Palestinian families. As a Palestinian who has called Jordan home for a lifetime and is a living evidence of the Palestinian occupation, I bear witness to enduring struggles against the oppressive grip of the Israeli occupation. We stand unwavering in solidarity with our Palestinian families, condemning the atrocities committed by the merciless hands of the Israeli regime. In this spirit, I invite you to join us in amplifying our voices and championing justice. Let us stand as a beacon of hope against injustice and oppression. To delve deeper into this critical issue, I would like to introduce our NORP, who has been steadfast in her dedication to this cause since the beginning of her term. Please welcome Ms. Rana Salman to continue on my speech.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much, Matthew. And hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a great day. It's my honor to stand here before you today as part of the organizing committee for the project Harmony and Diversity. My name is Rana Salman. I'm the National Officer on Human Rights and Peace at the IFMSA. Harmony and diversity holds a significant meaning. It emphasizes the importance of unity and cooperation among us as medical students and finding common ground and fostering understanding and respect among individuals from different cultures, countries, and social backgrounds. By bridging nations in this collaboration, we are coming together to address issues of inequality, access to healthcare, and health disparities that exist both within and between countries. But I'm not here to talk about a single inequality. I'm here to talk about a genocide that has been going on for 141 days. The genocide that has been going on not only since October 7th, but since 1948 in our beloved neighboring country, Palestine. The situation in Palestine, particularly in Gaza, is marked by what can only be described as acts of genocide, ethnic cleansing, and relentless oppression against innocent civilians who have endured nearly 75 years of displacement, terror, and manipulation. What happened 75 years ago? 75 years ago was 1948. The year 1948 marked a significant turning point in the history of Palestine. The First War resulted in the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. The 1967 Six-Day War further increased the crisis, leading to further displacements. Moving on to the Third Palestinian Intifada that prompted Israel's withdrawal from Gaza, only to be replaced by a barrier resembling an open-air prison, which we know now as Gaza. The cumulative toll on Palestinians from 1948 until 2020 reached more than 100,000 lives lost. Since October 2023, the ongoing conflict has killed over 29,000 lives, including at least 12,600 children, and left more than 70,000 people injured. Hospitals, schools, and entire communities are being wiped out, leaving more than 80% of Gaza as ashes. I'm not here to give you statistics because we've all seen the numbers. I'm here to ask you, as a proud Palestinian and as a human, speak up about Palestine. You know, I keep asking myself, why is it that my life matters more than theirs? All the newborns in the NICU, children, women, men, and elderly that are killed with no mercy, they deserve to live. They deserve to grow up, have a life with their families, graduate, make friends just like we do, achieve their dreams, travel, laugh, and again, most importantly, they deserve to live. Article 3 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that everyone has a right to life, liberty, and security of person. But honestly, I cannot imagine that we live in a world where we need to ask for this right, our right to life. And this is why we need to keep on calling for a ceasefire. Furthermore, I would also like to address how the lack of practical integration of social justice principles and humanitarian laws affected the healthcare in Gaza. Due to the overcrowding in shelters, more than 8,000 cases of viral hepatitis A were found according to Gaza's Ministry of Health. Laboratories and hospitals are unable to perform tests due to lack of materials. In 2023, global health challenges have only exacerbated the existing problems, with surveys revealing alarming statistics highlighting the urgency of the situation and the need for immediate action. Only 7 out of 24 hospitals remain open in northern Gaza. They are only partially functioning without enough specialized medical staff to manage the volume and range of injuries received daily, nor sufficient medicines and medical supplies, fuel, clean water, or food for patients or staff. Moreover, hunger has taken a heavy toll on everyone. Famine is a growing reality. Few supplies are left and malnutrition is growing. The international aid that does even make it can barely meet the needs of hungry population or prevent the situation from deteriorating. This rising lack of food and malnutrition is threatening the lives of both children and adults. Amidst the ongoing situation, Jordan has continued to support Palestinian hospitals by operating the Jordanian Field Hospital in Gaza, providing assistance with any necessary resources. And currently in Jordan, there are over 2 million Palestinian refugees, and the majority of whom have been granted citizenship and have the same access to healthcare as other Jordanian citizens. As future healthcare providers, We have a moral obligation to uphold the principles of social justice and to advocate for the well-being of all individuals, especially those who are most vulnerable. Which is why I believe in the power of coming together, gathering our resources and expertise, and working towards a more peaceful world that is built on principles of equity and justice. This is why it is of utmost importance that we speak up about what is happening in Palestine. Remaining silent would only perpetuate the suffering and injustice experienced by Palestinians on a daily basis. By raising our voices, we can highlight the human rights violations, call for an end to the conflict, and advocate for a just and lasting solution for Palestinians. Our silence will only prolong the suffering and deny the Palestinians their rights to self-determination and a peaceful existence. Our hearts go out for the victims of this genocide, and we stand in unwavering solidarity with our friends and families in Gaza, Palestine, and our fellow colleagues in Kamsa, Palestine. Thank you all. And as an end to this, I would like to present a video as part of our national project under the name Echoes from Gaza. Its main goal is to raise awareness on the ongoing genocide in Gaza in hope of supporting in any way we can. Thank you again. I don't think there's audio with the video.
I can hear it though. Can no one else hear it?
No, I personally cannot. I don't know if anyone can.
Bira, I think you have to unmute yourself.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
No worries.
Is it working now?
No, I can't hear it. Would you like me to try to share screen from my
Yeah, okay, let's do that.
Okay, let me try. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, can you hear the
Yes,
sound?
we can hear it.
Okay, thank you.
يا بنساها كان طبعا نطلع روح انساها ما نطلع الروح ولا انه سابع مخيل خيالها في عيني زي
יפה, באמת היה כבר אחד אנס שם איזה ילדה בת 16, משהו כזה, אתה מבין?
The scene is the most horrific scene I ever seen in my life.
Come, the international Magna Carta of all men everywhere.
At the hospital, anger has begun to replace grief.
10-year-old Mohammed, 10-year-old Ahmed, 10-year-old Zakaria, and 9-year-old was turned to lands they fled in 1948 when the state of it.
انت جاي تطقس علي.
انا جاي اطقس عليكي.
قدام خطيبك.
روح الروح، روح الروح.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Rana. More power to you and all Palestinians. Our prayers are with Palestine, and we will keep spreading awareness and raise voice against the genocide, inshallah. And thank you, Matthew and Rana, again for your thoughtful insight. Now we will welcome our next speaker, Amir Abdul. He is PMSA Palestine Capacity Building Director and IFMSA trainer. Are you there, Amir?
Yes, thanks. I'm here. Okay, first of all, thanks a lot for your invitations. I really appreciate your efforts and the works that you are doing, guys, in terms of human rights and peace. And I would like to thank Matthew and Brenna for the job that they did and their speech in this conference regarding the situations that happens in our Palestine. Okay. They talk about a lot about Palestine in this speech. I think there are some much hidden facts that I can share, maybe because it's not obvious for the whole world. And as what they asked before, that we want to talk about the situations in the health sector in Palestine. If we want to talk about before the 7th of October, even though before the genocide itself, we were facing a very bad health sector since there's a limited resources and there is no any availability or access to medicine for a huge number of the population since the limitation that we face from the occupation itself before the genocide. But after the genocide, since the 7th of October, I think I want to share or focus more about what's happening in Gaza on some aspects that not pretty obvious for the people who are living outside Palestine. So what's currently happening in Gaza, like we know, or some people know that Gaza receive insufficient aids and there is a cutoff on the electricity supply and depleted the fuel reserve, or even it's cut also. And as we say that there is a forcibly displaced people, approximately like 1.93 million civilians are displaced from their places to nowhere. They don't know where they should be safe. And if we want to talk about the health sector regarding this displacement, I can say like these numbers were relieved by the Ministry of Health of Palestine at the end of this year. Not there's something ongoing in this year, but at the end of the previous year, this is the numbers that was relieved by the Minister of Health. Like we have 179 cases of acute respiratory infections in Gaza, and we have like 136,000 cases of diarrhea, especially that there was an outbreak hepatitis A due to the insufficient sanitations. There is no sanitation system. They don't have any access for clean water. If there is also not clean water, there's some people they don't have access even for the water itself without it's clean or not clean. And this is like equivalent maybe to 3,200 cases of diarrhea per day. And we have also 55,000 cases of scabies and lice, 38,000 cases of skin rashes and chickenpox. Also, we have a lot of cases, like thousands of cases of jaundice and hepatitis in B also. Regarding the healthcare system currently in Gaza, like they have functionally only 6 ambulances currently working the Gaza Strip. They have also only 15 out of Gaza 36 hospitals are partially functioning. They are not functioning, they are partially functioning, and the number is still decreasing, and it's not sufficient at all for the population that were found in Gaza. They have a shortage of the medical staff as specialized surgeons or neurosurgeons or intensive cares, even though a lot of them were being prisoners or will be kidnapped or will be killed in regard they are medical staff or not. There is a lack of the essential medical supplies that may be faced, and I will stress on the the categories of the population that each one of them how they can suffer from this. For example, if we want to talk about the children, they don't have enough vaccination, even though if they are newborn or neonate infants, and also there is no enough food or there is no milk for the neonate. Regarding the pregnant women, there is a huge number of the pregnant females in Gaza. They don't know where they are supposed to give birth, and what's about if they need an ICU for the baby. And a lot of the cases that needed cesarean section was done without any anesthesia. So this is one of the cases that we have to stress on the medical aspect of what happened in Gaza, beside of what happened regarding destruction, demolishing, kidnapped, killed, everything that in terms of genocide in Gaza. Also, if we want to talk about the disabled people, a lot of the people that are disabled are not able to live with the current situation due to the infrastructure, that destructed infrastructure that they live, or they don't have access for any medicine or essential foods or any basic skills or resources that you really need in your life. And if we want just to talk about who's responsible for the international humanitarian aid, we can go, for example, for the speeches that was released by United Nations Developmental Programs and the United Nations for the Refugee Agency, UNHCR, or UNICEF, and the World Food Program. And we can say, like, for example, 4 out of the 5 hungriest people are in the Gaza regarding their sorry guys, regarding their speeches. And this probability or this probability or the possibility of being starving is increasing by the day due to the limited resources, as what Rana said before, that the supplies reach for them is unequal for their aids. For example, the estimated required aids for the people of Gaza needs like 1,300, and the only limited or the only allowed amount of the resources to enter by day is only 10 trucks in comparison for what they need just for the basic life, nothing else. So I just want to ask, is that enough to do what we shall do regard what happening in Palestine, especially in Gaza? I think all of us, as what Rana also said before, that we have to speak up about the human rights violation, what's happening in Palestine, especially in Gaza, and talk about the genocide, which was continuing not just since the 7th of October, it was starting since the 1948, as what showed in the previous video. It's like previous snaps or screenshots of what the Palestinian or the people of Palestine lived during their life in this land, facing this occupation. And also, we can just focus and raise our voices toward the international communities in order just not to let them say that just we want speeches and etc. No, we want actions to do. We want to be present on the policy making tables in order just to raise our voices on the other sides, in order just to let the whole people at least see what the Palestinian real facing during their life. And thanks a lot, people, for being here, and thanks a lot for the invitations. And I hope that our Palestine will be free soon. And thanks a lot for being human rights activists.
Thank you so much, Amir, for being with us. And now I welcome NMO President Denim Brazil, Bruna Bro, and it's an honor to have her with us. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Bruna. I'm the animal president of DENIN Brazil. And firstly, thank you, MSA-Pakistan, for the invitation. We're so excited to be working with you with all those incredible animals. And now, I would like to borrow some time for my presentation to stand with Egypt and Jordan in support of our Palestinian colleagues. It's impossible to talk about social justice and access to healthcare nowadays without acknowledging what's happening in Palestine, without talking about what Israel is doing. And just as our President Lula said in his speech in Ethiopia, what's happening is a genocide and it must be stopped. So, in the name of the NEN and with all of our hearts, we stand by Palestine. And to introduce my brilliant team, I would like to also tell you a fact about Brazilian universities that I think that will be helpful to understand our context a bit. Here we have something called a university tripod, which means that every university has to work with three pillars: teaching, research, and extension. We should study what happens with our communities with the teaching pillar, research it, and then find active ways to work with the population to solve their issues. And that's the extension. And I'm really proud to have extension in our country. So my team will bring you more of those topics. I'm just introducing it, and I'm really proud of having all of them. So Ludmila or Norp, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Can we share the presentation, please? Okay, so to introduce you to all of you, my name is Ludmila. I'm the name Norp, and today we talk about a lot of brave reports and the similarities that we have within those countries. So we are going to explore a little bit about social determination of the health disease process. Next slide, please. Next, okay. So to summarize to you all, Bruna introduced to everyone as our animal P, and I'll talk about a little about social determination. Then we will talk about violence in health and a little bit about Brazil public health system, SUS. After that, we'll outline various intervention strategies. And last but not least, we will share a little report of our new out assistant, Gabriel. So next one, please. So to start, I chose to speak a little bit about the context of Brazil's situation. Our country lives with an intense social inequality, and we can observe these disparities between the various regions of Brazil, because we have different socioeconomic realities and different ethnic racial experiences. So to exemplify, I brought this concept of social determination. When we talk about the numbers of medical, the distribution of medical population in Brazil, approximately 54% of the doctors in Brazil are concentrated in capitals, which means that the most part of the population is not always lacking access and lives with inequality of medical care. This also shows a little bit about how lower socioeconomic backgrounds face challenge to access and limits such as transportation and money and security in health. Next slide, please. This makes us think about social determinant of health disease process, because we are faced with a simple concept that living beings are healthy when they are able to fulfill their purpose and possibilities. But For human beings, this concept is a little bit complex because these possibilities are socially and historically constructed. Unlike animals, that species are determined by food, protection, shelter, and reproduction, the human beings act on nature, transforming it through technologies and through labor. And as Marx said, man removes natural limits and produces new conditions of existence. So through these new conditions, new ways of living and new needs arise, which brings greater complexity to these conditions. So this summarize a bit why these diverse factors influence the health outcomes found in individuals, such as socioeconomic status, education level, employment conditions, housing quality, access to clean water and sanitation, nutrition, social support networks, and exposure to violence and discrimination. Next slide, please. So this is the concept that I just brought to you. And now I would like to call on Raisa to address the issue of violence in health.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
So hello, my name is Raisa, and I'm a health policy coordinator in Brazil. And today I talk about the relationship between violence and health in Brazil. Firstly, like other countries considered peripheral, Brazil suffers from high rates of violence, and Brazil was the country that recorded the most violent deaths in 2023. It was considered the eighth most lethal country in the world in 2020. And currently, it is the country that kills the most trans people and ranks fifth in the world ranking of feminicide. Today, for every 10 murders recorded in the country, 8 are of Black people. And in recent years, the number of homicides against indigenous people has only grown. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So in Brazil, as it is an intrinsically violent country, which for more than 500 years has been marked by this exploitation and abuse of minority groups, violence is a determinant as well as a consequence. The groups that suffer the most high rates of the various types of violence are the most economically vulnerable, are the worst placed in the job market, and are the ones that suffer the most from the intensification of the climate crisis, and are the least reached by the SUS, our health system. And therefore, because they are not correctly assisted healthfully in the midst of any deterioration of their health illness balance, they are more likely to not have their needs correctly met. Next slide, please. So Black people receive less medical care than white people. The life expectancy of a trans person in Brazil is 35 years, while the average is 75.5 years. From the age of 15 onwards, women experience greater morbidity than men, and indigenous people are more sensitive to malaria, tuberculosis, respiratory infections, sexually transmitted disease, and other major conditions that challenge Brazilian health. Next slide, please. And for these reasons, not only in Brazil, but in any country, it is necessary that medical training is sensitive to minority groups. As an example, during my first year of the course, I took some practical classes in a urgent and emergency unit. The neighborhood in which it was located is in the peripheral region of the city, characterized by favelas, the greater presence of Black and poor individuals, and criminal groups. Next, please. The first instruction our teacher gave us was to be careful with our attitudes because it was a dangerous place there. Arriving there, our preceptor soon informed us that the people were often violent as they lived in a violent environment. All the time, we were encouraged to treat people with caution and wait for an armed riot to break out, in which the police would have to intervene. And this took on such proportions that a student from rich region of the country asked, "Do people come here without an ID because they are fugitive from the police and don't want to be arrested?" Well, in the end of the course of a whole school semester, I didn't witness a single small fight. Next, please. And so I leave you with the following questions. Even though we are sometimes veiled from the real society because we are on a course of great social prestige, how will we act when we deal with individuals without the same prestige? Will you treat everyone as a possible time bomb that could commit a violent act at all time? Or will we understand that there will never be equality as long as there is no equity? As long as a society vulnerable person is not treated by a doctor who understands the environment in which they grew up, the neighborhood in which they live, and the challenges they need to overcome every day. Well, that's it that I have to say.
Are there more speakers from Brazil, or is that it?
Yes, they are. I will introduce this topic and then go to the next one. So in this part of our presentation, we chose to talk about a little strategies that we could explore in Brazil to reduce these inequalities. And the first one is policy interventions, because we're going to speak a little about it in the future, about our health system. So we have public health system, and we have an expand of initiatives such as Bolsa Família and another vaccination campaigns that helped to alleviate poverty and improve these health outcomes we've been talking about within vulnerable populations. Next one, please. Now, to talk about community empowerment, we will address with Larissa, but she will speak in another slides. So this one is just to show you the concept of community empowerment. Next one, please. About healthcare system strengthening, we talked about a little earlier about primary healthcare services that facilitate and help to mitigate the impact of social determinants, such as infrastructure in underserved areas, training healthcare professionals, and implementing programs to prevent care and early intervention. Next one, please. Health education programs is another strategy we wanted to talk about to raise awareness and to promote a healthy lifestyle that they're easy to apply in different situations, different social and economical situations. Also, we talk. There are a lot of people earlier that talked about immigrant situations. So tailoring this health education promotion to cultural and linguistic needs to the different communities we have in Brazil. Next one. And the same goes to the role of health professions and medical students, enthusiasts, to show this promotion of health education and show disease prevention that are tailored to the community needs. Next one. And now to talk about advocacy, there is our coordinator, Adonis, but just to introduce to you all, the advocate can go to policies, to programs, to community initiatives, and can help to raise awareness of the impact of social inequalities. Next one.
Hello everyone, can you hear me? Are you guys hearing me?
Yeah,
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Well, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Adonis. I'm a fourth-year medical student, and I'm a national exchange coordinator here in Brazil. And I'm going to talk a little bit about advocacy and how this strategy has promoted gains in our health system and care offered to patients. Well, first of all, let's take a look at the advocacy strategy itself. Advocacy is a tool that can be used by groups to achieve a goal towards a cause. So the first step is to identify a problem occurring in our country concerning health. The problem is best translated by those who are a part of the population affected by the problem and who organize themselves in associations. Once the cause is stated, then we can move towards the seek for solutions, which can be thought as the endorsement of a health right that already exists in the legislation but isn't being implemented or offered by the health system, or into a new law that will guarantee the promotion of a need faced by the population affected by a health condition. The actions needed to achieve those goals include political actions, lobbying efforts, and mobilizations towards the cause, amongst others. Well, can you pass the slide, please? Right. Let me tell you about some successful examples of advocacy in Brazil. Well, political pressure and social mobilization have resulted in the distribution on a large scale of preservatives, vaccines, campaigns on health education, and measures to control, for example, mosquitoes, all of which have been crucial in the prevention of infections such as HIV, dengue fever, and the Zika virus. When we look at mental health, organizations and advocacy groups have pressured to amplify access to mental health services, conscientization about mental health issues, and reduce the stigma towards those subjects. As a result, there has been an increase in the resources dedicated to mental health services, as well as better integration of mental health into the health system in primary care. When we look to access to medication and treatments, advocacy has been crucial. Advocacy organizations have pressure for policies that reduce the price of medication, promote local production, and equitable access to chronic disease treatments. As a last example, as to what concerns sexual and reproductive rights, organizations and advocacy groups have been fighting for effective contraceptives, as well as fighting against gender violence and to guaranteeing menstrual dignity. And it's only now that our health system started to offering sanitary pads to the population for free. Those examples, amongst many others, that clarify the potential and power of that advocacy has to improve our health system towards dignity to the population. Now, please pass the slide. Can you pass the slide, please? Right. So that has been the examples I've brought to talk about advocacy, and now I will pass the word to Annie.
Annie's won't be able to present today. She woke up sick, so Anna will replace her.
Is everyone listening? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Ana. I'm a third-year medical student here in Brazil, and I'm also a regional coordinator for the Midwest of the Brazil. I would like to talk to you guys about some research and innovation strategies that we have in place here in Brazil, and also talk about the role of science in reducing social inequalities. Can you pass the slide, please? Okay, well, for starters, do you guys believe that science can be a way to end or reduce social injustices? I'm assuming you all do. But to show how, let's understand what exactly research and innovation is. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, research is a systematic study in search of discovering something or information or achieving an understanding of some phenomenon/fact. Innovation is connected to the search for new ideas or new methods, different from those that already exist. Therefore, research brings understanding and innovation is the solution. Pass, please. With this, returning to the area of health and social injustices, science can be used for many things, including search for data, understanding the social determinants of health, which has already been talked about here, evaluate the effectiveness of interventions and actions carried out in society. Furthermore, scientific dissemination brings enormous benefits to society, especially when research information removes the academic barrier and reaches the general public, combating fake news, which has been very common in the last few years. Pass, please. To show the way that science can be used to combat social inequalities, we have the most recent example, which was the COVID-19 pandemic. I wish I could show the full documentary. I'm gonna ask Ludmila to send the link to the trailer in our WhatsApp group chat. But basically, in this documentary, we highlight how the pandemic has worsened social inequalities here in Brazil. As an example, in 2 years of during the first 2 years of the pandemic, the access to food was really, really limited. It basically doubled the lack of access that people had to food. In 2020, in February, around 14 million people did not have access to food. Meanwhile, in 2022, that number had reached 33 million people. So basically, in this documentary, we talk about how much has changed after the pandemic and the role of science in making so the population had access to vaccines and to information, fighting against the lies that were told, especially by our right-wing government, and the solutions that could avoid worsening the injustices that permeate our society, not only concerning health, but also the financial, social, and environmental state of our country. Pass, please. Now that we understand how research relates to health and social injustices, I will show some strategies and innovations that Brazil uses to reduce social inequalities through the use of science. First of them is the CNPq. CNPq is the National Council for Scientific and Technological Development, which is part of the Ministry of Science. Meanwhile, CAPES is a higher level improvement coordination, and it's also part of the Ministry of Education. These two bodies work together, promoting research and innovations. The CNPq's objective, basically, is to promote science, technology, and innovation, and also act in the formation of its policies, contributing for the advancement of the frontiers of knowledge, sustainable and regional sustainable development, and national sovereignty. With this, it promotes public policies on a national scale and also regional needs, and also has international partnerships. One of the CAPES programs that exactly illustrates science as a tool for reducing inequalities is called Family and Public Policies in Brazil, which is a postgraduate program with the objective of supporting research projects and the training of highly qualified human resources, focuses especially on the scientific research related to the family and public policies in its very thematic aspects selected for this notice. Pass, please. Another thing that I would like to highlight is when speaking about the entire world, is the brain drain. The brain drain is a global phenomenon where highly qualified professionals emigrate from their home countries in search for better opportunities abroad. While the countries that receive those professionals can benefit from them, the countries of origin suffer losses both in economic and also technological development. Basically, what happened is that the areas that are affected by brain drain end up with a lack of human capital, and the professionals who go elsewhere, they end up leaving a large hole to fill, one that isn't always easy to fill. Considering medical professionals in developing nations such as Brazil. When they move to parts of developed countries for better opportunities, they may leave a hole here, and there may not be enough people, qualified people, to replace them when they leave, which affects the quality of healthcare for everyone who's left behind. So this phenomenon demonstrates not only the social inequality that exists in each country, but also the inequalities that exist between countries, which allows to reflect on social injustices in health and in each country, and also collectively around the world. Yeah, it's basically that. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Next slide, please. Now, Brina with the word. Marisa.
It's me, hello. Can you hear me right? Okay, my name is Larissa and I'm part of the COCULTIMA, the Cultural and Environment Coordination from the name Brazil. Next slide, please. Well, as we saw beforehand, Brazil has a vast territory, an infinity of different cultures, values, beliefs, but also social inequalities and inequities, and that shows in our healthcare system. Medical professionals are still considered elite members of society. Next slide, please. Alas, the majority of them also come from white, male, cisgender, able population, and upper economic classes, creating a gap between them and patients of other contexts. I left QR codes for the articles. They're in Brazilian and Portuguese, but you can scan them and translate it after. Knowing there is this gap, and it probably happens worldwide, it's our responsibility as medical students to develop cultural competence. Next slide, please. Essentially, cultural competence is the ability to understand and respect values, attitudes, and beliefs that differ across cultures. Easier said than done. Next slide, please. Brazilian Education Ministry already states that in medical universities, the student will be trained to observe biological, subjective, ethnic, racial, socioeconomic, cultural, and ethical diversity that unifies each person or each social group. But when questioned, students report a lack of understanding of social nuances and public health politics for marginalized populations. Next slide, please. And some of those who have access to social sciences question why they need them. Cultural competence is a necessary skill to create a bridge between patient and professional, and the only way to ensure every medical student is given the opportunity to grow and learn it is to make sure medical schools have social sciences in their curricular basis. Next slide, please. But not only that, we need to make sure those subjects are distributed along the years and that they resonate well with practical experiences so that people can understand how important they are. Due to their background, a person's understanding of disease and how they deal with pain, for example, can be different. In addition to comprehending the patient's way to express their symptoms, cultural competence can help consider and respond appropriately to these differences in planning, implementing, and evaluating health education and promotion programs and interventions. It's about being adaptable and adjusting the care to meet each patient's needs. Thank you. Next slide, please.
So, to continue, by addressing the social determinants of health and mobilizing health professionals and medical students, Brazil is working towards achieving health equity and improving health outcomes for all its citizens. Next slide, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Julia, and I'm the regional coordinator for the Midwest also in Brazil, and I'll be talking about some health promotion strategies. To begin, it's important to know that our healthcare system has several strategies that aim to reduce the inequality in the health system context. It's important to say that there are not only programs financed by the government, there are also those promoted by the universities and the entities in the cities. And I will talk about some programs that I know well and have more contact here in my city. Next slide, please. To start, we have the teams that promote medical care for the homeless people. They go to the place where these people usually live or they live to provide medical care, help them obtain new documents, and help combat drug addiction, and offer recreation and educational activities. This is an important activity in Brazil because we can mitigate some inequalities that we have towards this medical area. Next slide, please. Now, our community pharmacies. They offer medicines for free to those who need them. You just need to have a medical prescription and an ID to ID you, right? And it's really good because some people doesn't have the money to buy these medications and they can get for free here. Next slide, please. Now, the Better at Home. This is a program that health professionals go to the home of the registered people to offer usually medical care, carry out some procedures, and even teach those who take care of the patients how to perform some procedures. This program aims to reduce the length of stay in the hospitals, humanizations to promote the user's autonomy. The Better at Home is different from the other home visits that are promoted by the health units because this program takes care of people who are already in a weaker state of health. The next slide, please. And finally, we have several services offered to needy communities. These services are offered at events in which professionals from various areas, such as doctors, veterinarians, lawyers, financial consultants, among others, are available to provide care and service for free to these people. And furthermore, it's important to mention that there are multi-professional health teams that go to the most remote areas of the country to provide care to the residents. And for this, they adapt in different ways. They go by boat or even the offices are set up in ferries. That's all. Thank you.
So can you hear me? Okay, my name is Jessica. I'm from Brasília, the capital city of Brazil, and I'm talking about the Sistema Único de Saúde, SUS. The Brazilian National Health System, known as the Sistema Único de Saúde, was established in 1980 as a response to the social movement advocation for Brazil's democratization. And freely in the 88th Brazilian Constitution, SUS operates on a decentralized model with administrative duties distributed across federal, state, and municipal levels of government. Healthcare delivery is primarily managed at the state and municipal levels, aiming to achieve universal health coverage throughout the country. Next slide, please. Citizens of Brazil are constitutionally entitled to healthcare services, a provision clearly articulated in Article 196 of the 1988 Constitution. This article states that health is a right for all and duty of the state, emphasizing the government's responsibility to ensure access to healthcare through economic and social policy. To uphold this commitment, the federal constitution has established three fundamental principles. Next slide, please. So the three principles of SUS are universality, equity, and integrality. First of all, universality is talking about our access to healthcare services is universal and provided free of charge at all levels of the healthcare system. Second, equity is equality in healthcare provision is ensured without discrimination or preferential treatment of any kind. And finally, third, the comprehensiveness of healthcare encompasses a coordinated and continued range of preventive and curative measures, both for individuals and communities. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eduarda, and I like to introduce you one of the main strategy for organizing and training the level of attention, the primary level of attention, and it's family health. The family health is based on monitoring of defined numbers of families which are located in a defined geographic area. Some actions have been developed in order to promote health, prevention, recovery, rehabilitation of disease, and the most frequent illness based on the needs of that region. To carry out these actions, a multidisciplinary team is needed in the health units. This team consists in a doctor, a nurse, some nursing assistants, some community health agents, a dental surgeon, a dental assistant, or a dental hygiene technician. And these family health teams establish ties with the population, enabling the commitment and the co-responsibility of the professionals with the user and the community, and with the challenge of expanding their boundaries of actions and resolving the care of the area. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. My name is Gabriel. I'm from São Paulo. And to finish our presentation today, I'm going to invite you to travel together through the Brazilian Amazon by boat for some minutes. So, next, please. So, starting, imagine that you have a community who needs continuous healthcare like everyone, but where they live is located like around 8 hours far from the nearest city. So it's really challenger. Next. This is what we face here in Brazil. It depends on, of course, where you are, but in the north part, in the Amazon part, that's what we face. On the last year, I took a boat with the healthcare team from SUS, our public health system, and I saw under my eyes how they have to reinvent tools all the time to keep this population treated and healthy. As you can see on the picture, the reality that they have every day, it's like completely different from what we see in other countries or even in other parts of Brazil. Next, please. Every day we had to arrive on a new community and we have to try to understand how the health disease care process occurs there. So it's really individual. Each community has its way of life and its process. So we have to understand this, and after that, we have to go to see our patients. Next. And this is me in school, because more than just giving consultations, we also prepare and go to the school of the community to make some activities on health education with their children. Next. But what I want you to know is the most important thing is that all the consultations and activities occurs. It doesn't matter the conditions. So as you can see in the picture, I just had 2 chairs to see this patient, and it was enough to understand how the process of health occurs with her and to help them with the tools that we have from the SUS, our system of health here. Next. And also what we need to be sure is that this population is going to be assisted on a longitudinal way. So we are trying to avoid the punctual assistantialism because we know already that this is not enough for them and this is not enough for our public health system. We have to continue see this patient. So this healthcare team, they are continue going to this community. So I went there in August and I knew that like 2 months later, another team is going to see my patients and to see how is going the treatment. So next, please. I'd like to thank you for your attention and for the opportunity to talk about Amazon, which is a place really magical, but also challenger.
This is it.
I would like to thank NMO as a whole from Brazil. And now I would like to call President of MSA-Pakistan, Haram Altaf. Haram, are you there?
Dear esteemed participants, speakers, and collaborating countries, thank you so much for invaluable contributions to webinar. Let's continue to unite efforts and create a brighter, healthier future together. Much love and scarp hugs to you all from President MSA Pakistan. Now it's turn to turn on your cameras and let's have a picture, please.
I'm counting on you to take a screenshot.
Abira, can you please take the picture? Okay, just a minute.
Hiram, if you could please give us a heads up. I think we're just posing for nothing.
Harim, are you done?
Okay, a person took a screenshot. We can stop posing now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This was really a great
Okay,
time.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, everyone. Okay, it was a pleasure meeting you all and listening to your thoughtful insights and broadening our horizon of knowledge on social justice. And also, I really appreciate all presidents who join us today, all organizing committee members, and all NMOs, Oman, Brazil, Kazakhstan, and our team from Pakistan for making our conference a memorable one. And I hope we will be working together, holding thoughtful and insightful sessions in future too, and have outstanding views from across the globe. Thank you again for your time. Scarp hugs.
Ayana, thank
so
you
much.
for this beautiful invitation. Thank you to all the speakers and participants, and shout out for this great efforts in the conference.
Thank you once again, everyone. Love you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Best wishes to all of you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a nice night.